this morning. What? Oh, okay. I haven't done that. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to those that are tuning in at home. This morning we'll be deliberating on our climate change and sustainability strategy. Before we start, do we have any apologies? I have one for lateness from Lane. I think we have one from Tony. Todd, any? Otherwise, I think we're all here. Do we need to move those and second those? Do we have a mover that we accept those? No, we don't need to. Okay, thank you.
Richard might be an apology.
Oh, and Richard Wilson is also an apology. That's right, he's at the biodiversity, I think, meeting in Christchurch. Thank you. Fempo, you're going to kick us off? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And welcome at the deliberations on the draft climate change and sustainability strategy. Because it's been a while since we last talked about this, I'll briefly remind us all how we got to where we are today. So it's almost the end of last year, we started the development of the strategy with the early engagement, where we had public meetings and stakeholder conversations to prepare the draft of the strategy. And in the process, there were council workshops where we discussed the headlines and we talked about the action plan in more detail. And when council was happy with the draft, it went out for community consultation in May and June. And from that consultation, we received 31 submissions. And there were about 7 people that indicated they would like to speak at the hearings, which was the last time we gathered on the strategy, and that was in June when we had 7 people talking to their submission. So where we are today is the deliberations on all those submissions that were received. We assumed that all the 31 submissions are read, and you would have done that in the full submissions booklet. And the plan for today is, first of all, to go through the summary of feedback. And in the summary, we actually theme the feedback that is received. And this is a time for you to debate the community feedback and to ask any questions you might have. And after the summary, we'll go through the full draft, page by page. And in the past weeks, we have done a bit of an internal review. So you will see there are some changes proposed to improve the strategy, to improve the understanding. And there are some changes reflecting feedback from submitters. And that's all for you to discuss. And all throughout this process today, it's to answer any questions you might have. So we'll start actually now with going through the summary feedback. And
Can
yes.
I just interrupt you for a moment? I think the Mayor has a question.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, he doesn't. Beg your pardon.
Okay. And because it's a bit of a small print on the big screen, I would recommend everyone to just open the summary feedback on their own tablets, so that we can go through page by page. All right, so I will start on page 3, which is a summary of the feedback received. And I think I might just scroll on and you please tell me if you would like me to stop if you have any questions or comments. So this is an overview on page 3 of the engagement that we did on the consultation and the school engagement that we did as well. So maybe to start, the first question on page 4 was the question in the consultation document that referred to the proposed vision. And here you see a summary of what the feedback on that submission, on that vision was. So there was a large support for the proposed vision. This is also for us an opportunity to ask for your direction and guidance if you would like any changes to the vision.
Does anybody have a view on the vision? Are we all happy with that? We've read the submissions, they're pretty supportive. Any comment?
I was just going to say I support that. I think it's quite clear that people are happy with that vision. Yeah.
Seems
yeah.
reasonable. Yep, thank you, Femba.
All right. Yes, so these following pages are the comments from the submitters on the proposed vision. So that's page 5. Page 6. Page 7.
Caroline,
That's right.
I beg your pardon.
I was just going back to page 5, the biodiversity. You know, we've got to be careful. I know back in our strategy we're spending money in this space, but the farming fraternity, they're heavily involved with this on farm and in doing it. And we need to take note here. We can, you know, we've got money spent later, and I think we need to look at the farming sector. They're doing this all on farms through the dairy companies and feed farmers and everywhere. So just take note of that one later on when we've got money allocated to promoting and stuff. We don't waste it. We need to be careful where we're spending our dollars.
We'll address that later when we go over the strategy. Where this is just a comment on the vision. Sure, we'll take note. Neil, please.
The one submitted there, Mr. Brown, he doesn't agree with the vision, but in the comments you've got all these links to help him understand what the vision is. So those links will be sent to him?
Yes, following the, yes, when the strategy is adopted, we'll inform all the submitters on the outcome and answer the questions they,
Those links.
yeah, and this is online available, yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, any other comments? I'll read the comment from Phil Everest here, talking about protecting the environment may be a bit strong as things are outside our control. Indeed, some things are outside our control, but we still have to endeavour to address those that we can, you know. So I think that's also them. When will you write back to the submitters or send them? Are you
Following when the strategy has been adopted, that's
Yes.
proposed for the 3rd of September, then we'll send a letter to all the submitters with the outcome.
great. Thank you. Great.
All right. Then the second question that we asked in the consultation document was around the goals and the objectives of the individual priority areas. And on page 9, you see the first goal, the sustainable water management. We asked the submitters if they felt the goal and objectives capture what they see as the key challenges and opportunities regarding this priority area. And this is the feedback we received, which is in support. If there's any comments here, or if council would like to discuss the... I'll go to the individual comments from people on this goal and objectives. So we'll go to page 10.
Can I make a comment?
Of course you can.
Sorry. Right through the strategy, rainwater tanks keep coming up, and I wonder whether that's a note to put for later. Going forward, should we look at that? Because it's in many places through this strategy.
Yes, so that's in the action plan. One of the proposals in the action plan refers to water tanks.
Can I just make a comment on the Methven Community Board? And I think adding those community groups or stakeholders as a who is important. I see you've listed it there that you will do that, so I think that would be good. Thank you.
Russell?
Thank you. I also support Murray Hawke's comment that use science as a basis for water management. We have done a trial with water tanks in a subdivision that council did, and we should have some results around that of the effectiveness of it, before you'd roll it out into the district and those sorts of things. So, yeah, I think science is a very important part of what we do.
And that's a nice segue into Kate White's comment with regards to education needs to accompany, like if we encouraging use of water tanks and things. We need education around that as well, how to use them, where to buy it, that sort of thing. Any other comments from anybody? Oh, Phil, sorry, I didn't see you down there.
Yeah, I'll also take note of David Watson's comment about targets as well. It's all good with the flowery words, but we actually need some set targets along with them.
So that's on page 12.
Yep.
So, any comments on page 11?
So can I make a comment? With regards to water storage, that will flow up into the goal. So this is a question, not a statement. It says the goal is attain sustainable and resilient water management. A lot of submitters talked about water storage. So is that a target underneath that flows up to feed into the goal, is it? How does that fit in, water storage in the strategy?
I mean, we don't have a specific goal around water storage in the strategy at this point, so I guess that's one question for you as to whether you think there should be something. I mean, there's sort of generalities around it in terms of what's in the strategy currently, so it's about sustainable management of water resources. So
Yeah,
I guess,
but what is that? Sustainable management and resilient water management, wouldn't that involve, one of the aspects of that be water storage?
Yeah, so I mean, it does cover the spectrum, but there's no sort of specific goal around water storage. If
Yeah,
you know,
like
for
2/3 of our community will have water tanks in their backyard. Is that what you,
Yeah,
you
I,
don't
th-
have
I
a
think
goal
what
about
Phil's talking about is more the bigger picture of water storage rather than individual water
Yes, I
storage. So
think
it's,
so too,
I
yeah.
guess it's whether or not council thinks it's appropriate to have a goal in there about supporting
Well, we
those
could
sorts
have
of
like an
projects.
education
or-
goal in there somewhere, couldn't we? Even if we don't,
Yep,
even if
yep, happy to take your direction on that.
what do you think, Neil?
I'm wondering, is it worth bringing up that goal in the strategy there so we can just focus on it and see what we have got, see
Yep.
if there's an addition to it, or park it for bringing it up later and digging into it.
We can probably park it and do it when we go through.
Maybe just
Yep.
make a note and we'll come back
Yep.
to
Yep,
in reference
absolutely.
to yeah.
Right. Any further comment? No? Carry on, please, Mark. Or Femke. whoever's got them.
So then we go to the second priority area, which is the nature-based solutions. And we asked the same question to the community, which was to get their feedback on the goals and objectives, if they capture the challenges and opportunities. So this is a summary of their feedback on the nature-based solutions and their comments from page 14 on. Page 15.
I have a question with regards to Ashburton District Council. What are we doing with regards to nature-based solutions? Do we have that in our strategy?
Yes, we do. We've got our nature-based solutions expert in the...
Will that come up later on when we go through the strategy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can we park that somewhere then, so we can?
Yep.
Because if we're going to ask others to do it, we better be doing it ourselves, I imagine.
Page 17.
I see on page 15, Mary Rolston's commented about pest control. A lot of that's on dock land up there too, isn't it? But there is some pest management up there, isn't there, as well?
Yes.
Yeah. Page 17.
I was going to say, flicking through here, there's a few comments about affordability. And I think that's when we're doing this, we need to actually think about that, what can what can council spend, what is affordable to us, because the government have been sending us messages about being affordable, going back to basics, and we've got a lot of research, government research has been done in this space, and we've just got to watch we don't duplicate, and so, affordability is important.
And I think Nick Yateman's alluded to that too as well with that, yeah.
Just like to comment on Stephanie Paul's comment about sustainable land use, and then the staff comments of what sustainable land use is, means making use of land and protecting it from harm or degradation. In other words, managing land resources in a way that maintains ecological, etc. I hope we do that with Ocean Farm. Manage it for, protect it from harm or degradation.
Good point, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Fempa.
Page 18.
Page 18 on Jeff Rowe's comment about farm environment plans and don't duplicate or triplicate. We're not requiring farmers to do farm environment plans as part of this, are we? No, that's
No.
They do farm environment plans with environment categories. That's totally separate. Yep. Thank you.
Mark Waring says we need to balance what the community can afford, but that's not the point of the strategy. The point of the strategy is to set out a vision and aspirations. It's not a matter of allocating or not allocating. That will be reviewed annually in the annual plans and long-term plans. So this is not a commitment to spend. It's a commitment for a view and a focus and a vision. Yeah.
Absolutely right. So through each annual plan and LTP process, it will be up to the council of the day to make the financial commitment. The back of the strategy along the action plan does have an indication of what the actions could cost, but that is at the end of the day an annual plan commitment.
Yeah, and we'll go over the strategy later on. We'll be able to see the monies that are attached to some of the items, and some of them are they're already been undertaken pretty much. Any other comments from the team?
All right, then we'll go to the third priority area, which is a resilient, engaged and informed community. And this is the feedback from the community on this goal, which is to build a community that is well informed about the changing climate and actively engaged in sustainable practices and resilience efforts. And the objectives are on the screen. So there's again a community of feedback support for the goal and the objectives, and we'll go through the comments, or if council wants to discuss the goal or the objectives. Go to the comments on page 20.
Just a comment,
pardon,
if I
Liz.
can. No, you're fine. There's a call for more education from both Stephanie Paul and Kate White and a few others, and I guess we can use tools that are already in place with It's Time Canterbury and what Environment Canterbury and the partnership have put together as well. So we don't need to start something from scratch. Is that correct?
Correct. There's in the action plan. There's the proposal to do our own, to set up an educational events for within the community to focus on topics that are relevant within our district.
Right.
But it's all about.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, Phil?
It's going to come up with the strategy, but sort of following on from what Mark Waring's saying, we need to discuss whether this is core council stuff. Educating about climate change, is that not central government's job? But, like I say, it'll come up with the draft.
Rubbish management, recycling, all that sort of thing is local government, you know, so there's a lot of aspects, yeah, but, yeah.
That's where I was coming from. We just got to be careful in this space, over-committing, and here, you know, people in several sections have talked about, you know, base it on good science and stuff. So there's really conflicting views in our population, who you believe and who you don't, and we all know the climate's changing, but I think we just got to stick to the basics that we know and good science, and don't overcommit ourselves. And the government's got a lot of stuff out there, and we need to let them forefront this, and don't create a wheel that's already created. And
Femke, do you want to carry on now, please?
Yes, page 21. And then we'll get to the fourth priority area within the strategy, which is waste reduction and minimization, with the proposed goal to be to enable responsible waste management that reduces waste and protects community and environmental well-being. And the objectives are there. And again, at least from the submissions received, support for these objectives and goal. And the comments starting page 23.
Just want to check that all our objectives were included in the tender that went out for our new waste management contract, because otherwise, you know, we're just going to let that for the next 9 years, and if it doesn't meet our objectives, it seems a bit pointless.
Through the chair, I think there was reference to it. I don't know how much detail was in it, but I'll certainly follow up and get back to you with that.
Yeah, I think you could say that the principles are included, and I mean that's been throughout all of our waste management work as well as previous climate change work. So I don't think there'll be anything outstandingly different.
Just a question with regards to the strategy and how it links into this. Engage and involve our community to achieve waste management goals and objectives. Are the waste management goals like tonnes per person or tonnes per district or whatever, are they included in the strategy? Like, do we have a waste management goal in terms of how much waste we recycle versus how much we compost versus how much we throw out, sort of thing? Thanks, Richard.
Yeah, there are a series of non-financial performance measures that are in the long-term plan and annual plan, and as well as there are specific goals within your waste management and minimisation plan. In regard to composting, there isn't a specific target for that because that activity has yet to commence.
Great. And that will be visible to the community. Those targets will be visible, and we'll track them and we'll show them every year that we, on a graph or something, how we're going with that, or every 3 years or whatever that.
Yes.
Thank
So
you,
the
Tony.
non-financial ones that are sitting in the LTP and the annual plans, they're reported to council twice a year.
Thank you. Russell, do you mind moving your little jug? I just can't see your light if it's on or off. Or was it Neil's jug? Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Femke.
Is there a question from...
Rob,
Yeah, just on what we're doing as far as waste, we had people from Cape Valley here yesterday, and they made it very clear that there was a reduction in waste going into that landfill, and as far as what we were doing in that area was all done extremely tidily and dealt with at a very high level. Yeah. So as far as the country goes, I think we're probably sitting at the high end of things in a positive way.
Yeah, it'd be good to see that, though. We don't know that, do we? Right. Thank you.
All right, comments on page 23.
Agree with Michael Register that the packaging that comes with our consumables is over the top. So we need to advocate to the people who supply it that we don't need as much. Lots of your goodies are wrapped in polystyrene or protected, and there's not a easily recyclable avenue for that stuff. Plastic, everything gets double wrapped in plastic. Do we need that? Don't think so. I don't know if they still wrap the cucumbers in plastic, do they?
Yeah, the long,
They
skinny
still do.
ones, telegraph ones, they do.
They still do, yeah. Why do we talk about it, but nothing happens? Do they need to be wrapped in plastic, the cucumbers?
Yeah, don't know.
The cabbages aren't.
No, they're not. Neither are carrots.
So we need to advocate for less use of stuff that we use once and then just biff, especially plastic or products that use petroleum and items that use petroleum products.
And that's a really good point in terms of what council's role might be in trying to influence change, because we appreciate and I think the community is well aware climate change and sustainability is large and significant, and what role we play in the advocacy part can be where we can step in and fill voids.
Phil?
Neil McCann, question for you. The polystyrene, what sort of levels are we getting at the moment? I mean, it did get out of hand, and then I think that there's been pressure on the likes of your Noel Leemings and Smith and Churches and what have you. Has that decreased of late?
At the resource recovery park, it certainly has. So it's more manageable for our team down there.
Yeah.
We are getting smaller quantities. I think the shops have managed to get rid of their larger volumes, and we've assisted them with that.
And there's an extra charge or something like that, isn't there?
That's correct, yes, for the transport and up to Christchurch.
Yeah.
Liz?
I've jumped to 25, if that's okay, but just Edith Smith's comment around communication to the community is important to ensure a successful transition to the green waste collection. I think that's really important. And getting that communication out early so that people are ready to go when the bins are delivered, I think will be quite key.
Thank you. And I thought I had another light on. Did you turn it off? Okay, thank you.
If there's any comments on page 24.
If you go back to Murray Hawke's comment on page 23, council should seek ways to promote small-scale waste-to-energy plants. Is there any activity in our community around that? Do we know? And would we know if they, are we able to support that in terms of advice and encouragement?
I'll just look at either Richard, who's...
It's my understanding that there is, amongst the fast-tracked projects, a proposal for what would be the country's first waste-to-energy plant.
I can't hear you, Richard, sorry, what did you say?
It's my understanding that amongst the fast-tracked projects, the projects identified under the fast-track legislation, that there is a proposal for the country's first waste-to-energy plant. I'm imagining that consenting of these kind of facilities, particularly because of the concern around discharge to air,
Yes.
is going to be a matter for regional councils or some national regulatory body. So I'm not quite sure what our involvement would be in an advisory sense.
Okay.
And in terms of our current method of waste disposal, as has already been observed, council's a joint venture partner in a state-of-the-art landfill that performs to a very high standard. So the likelihood that we're going to see much benefit in our district from this investment seems small.
Yeah. Neil?
Through the chair, over the last few years, we have been approached by several companies interested in this initiative. However, it doesn't appear to be sustainably economically feasible, just due to the lack of sheer volume that one's required to set up an operation like this. So it hasn't. None of them have seemed to have developed any further than just the initial sort of concepts and approaching all the councils to see which councils would be prepared to commit. But it's never really gone any further than that, and we understand it is just because of the sheer volume required to make it economically feasible.
Thank you, Neil.
It may change, may be changing. I understand there is technology overseas where they are making smaller plants, but it hasn't reached New Zealand yet, I don't believe.
We do have a local contractor who set up a waste to energy burning facility, and he has trouble with our friends up the road at Environment Canterbury getting it fully consented to generate electricity with it. And it is a battle he's had for years, and he's gone right to the top in Wellington and still not consented to do it. That takes our green waste, our building waste, non-treated building timber, and burns it, and green waste, and could convert that to electricity, but there's just barriers put in front of him. The idea's there, we all think we should do it. Our friends in Churham Street won't allow him to do it.
Thank you. Yeah. Phil,
Thank you.
you're way down there in the dark.
It was the screen's just in front of you though. It's almost ironic yesterday with the lovely electric truck from Scandinavia, where they burn rubbish and import it from all over Europe. There's a certain amount of irony in that, I felt.
Thank you. Rob, please.
Just to further on from Neil's comment about the local contractor trying to do his best with his burning plant. He's been battling away with that pretty much by himself for some years. I'm not really aware, and possibly there has been. Has there been enough support from this council to help the contractor get his idea? Well, it's not an idea; it's proven to get it over the line for our district.
You mean to return the electricity to the grid? Is that what you're saying?
Well, we could set it up over by the EA Centre to run that facility quite easily.
I don't know that. I'm not sure about that. Who would respond to that, please? Neil.
Yeah, we have worked with them to see what we can do. We are somewhat limited because it really is ECAN's and how they've categorised that operation. For some reason, the consent was for a mobile consent, and he's meant to be moving that. I think that's the issue. It's to do with ECAN and consenting. We're happy to support and do what we can, but I don't think there's any more we can do other than lobby and talk to ECAN, which I believe councillors and even ECAN councillors has been trying, and more recently the Member of Parliament has been advocating for him as well.
I sort of feel if he's making the effort to go as far as Wellington to try and get it across the line for our district, we should be there right along beside him and supporting him and showing our support.
Thank you. Neil?
To Councillor Merkel's comment, I've been out to the plant several times. I've had ministers of the Crown there and both governments to look at it with them. They all think it's a good idea. And as Neil rightly says, he can do it if it's a mobile plant. But if it's fixed permanently in one place, it doesn't meet the RMA. So if you're going to connect and make electricity off it, it needs to be in one place, connected to the lines. Yeah. It's stupidity. But the people who write those rules, which is not this council, it's a regional council and probably at government, have not yet changed to allow it to happen. Good idea, but blocked by bureaucracy.
Yeah, ridiculous. Yeah. Thank you.
Right. Page, I think we've covered 24 and 25. It's 26.
Just regarding Nick Yateman's comment on page 24 that exporting our waste out of town at ratepayers' expense is not a sustainable practice. We did hear yesterday that it is sustainable, that they've got electric trucks that have been recharged by the generation of electricity up there, and they've got a very small footprint, and it's a sustainable, I think they said on a global scale they're operating at best practice. So that's I think it's worth noting. Is the green bin coming out next August, is it? When's the green bin?
September.
Next September,
Yes.
Yeah. What's that?
13 months.
13 months, yeah.
Page 26. Twenty-seven.
Just a comment, the last comment that Kate White has made on the bottom of page 27 and mentioning Eco Educate, and they've done a really good job, I think, especially at the Glow in the Park events, when I think they've managed to divert so much waste from landfill. So I guess they're in the contract going forward for the next 9 years as well. No?
Through the chair, no, that's not the case. I think it ends either next year.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, I think it's next year.
2 years.
2 more years.
2 more years.
And then
It'll be
go
up
out
for tender again because it's separate. It's not part of the collection, curbside collection and maintenance contract.
Yeah, but it obviously does make a difference having Eco Educate here in the district.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, Kate White makes a good point, and the same point that Liz is on with educating the public. And they've educated me a couple of years ago where you had a compostable takeaway coffee cup, which wasn't.
No.
Most of it was, but
Yeah.
there's a little bit in it that wasn't, so it threw the whole thing out. But if I had bought that coffee cup thinking it was compostable, I'd have thought I'm doing a great job. In reality, I wasn't, because it was not 100% compostable, so it couldn't be composted, so it went to landfill.
We had
That's the education side of things.
We had come at Rotary last night showing what was compostable and what wasn't, and it was very interesting. Like those Tetra Packs, not compostable. There's a whole lot of things, and a lot of it's due to the limitations. Like ice cream lids are made out of the same material as ice cream container, but because of the limitations of the machine that sorts in Timaru, they can't go in. So there's a lot of things there, and hopefully the technology over the years will improve so we can increase what is recyclable and what's not. But to your point, Neil Brown, Kate's done a great submission, but she's also written we need clear messaging around waste, which is exactly what you were talking, waste reduction with regards to the plastic cucumbers and plastic wrap cucumbers and stuff. Yeah, so I think that's a good point. You putting your light on, Phil?
Yes, I am. Is that our job to do that, though? Is that our job to say we don't want plastic wraps on our cucumber? Is that not central government's job to do that?
Yeah, but I think we can support that with messaging, because we are getting rid of the plastic. We are paying to discard the plastic wraps.
Who are we messaging?
Messaging just through our policy that, yeah. Who pays to get rid of the plastic wraps around the cucumber?
Are you messaging the cucumber growers? Is that what you're saying, or who are you messaging?
Neil. No, can you, have you got a comment to that, Neil?
Yeah, the supermarkets say the consumer has all the power, and they do what the consumer wants. So we need to educate the community, which is the consumer, to tell the supermarkets we don't want, in this instance, the plastic around the cucumber because it's not acceptable today. And if you don't do it, we won't buy it. So they say the consumer has the power, so
That's right.
don't buy the cucumber with the wrap on it. Get the one without the wrap, and you'll send the message. The consumer has the power, so we are told.
Yeah, my question was whether we need to do that, or whether central government
We
needs
advocate.
to do that.
What was that, Lane? Put your light on, Lane.
It starts from the bottom, not from the top. So we are the bottom.
Yeah.
Then we go.
There are more consumers than there are manufacturers, so, you know. Okay, Femke, after that heated debate.
We'll get to goal number 5, the priority area around resilient infrastructure, with the goal to prepare our infrastructure for the long-term impacts of climate change to ensure resilience and safety for our community. And the submissions show support for that goal and objectives. And
I think Murray Hawkes makes a good point that we all want to get our diggers out under the bridges to clear out the river, but we need to be clear that that's currently ECAN's responsibility to do that. So it's, again, we sort of have to work in partnership with other bodies there.
that's on page 29. If there's
Just your comment under the bridges. I think it's whoever owns the bridge does it.
So we could have, at
These
the big
rules.
floods, got rid of the. I thought that was ECAN's job to clear the
No,
logs
it was NZTA's job. It was their bridge.
Oh, okay.
You had to be safe to go and do it.
Yes, of
The
course.
waters get down. It was ECAN weren't holding that up.
Okay, I
As
I
I
withdraw and
understand.
retract. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was NZTA's responsibility to get
Their
the-
bridge. They
Okay.
clean under the bridges after.
Doing it now.
You're doing it now. Yeah.
The girls. The girls nesting.
They have dug around the pillars in some of the rivers around the district now. Yeah. What about, though, the logs and the shingle in the rivers? Clear that out as a mitigating the damage. Would that be under ECAN's responsibility? Yeah. Thank you.
page 30. (31).
Just a question. So we're coming into now a lot of the submissions on the Hepburn strain. So how will we manage all these submissions? Will we get a report that will come through to council? Because while it kind of aligns with floodwater and all that sort of stuff, I think it's probably a separate issue from the strategy.
Tony's you're gonna comment on that, or is Neil going?
Yes,
Tony's
happy
gonna
to,
comment
and
on that.
Neil will provide the technical input. So you're absolutely correct, Councillor McMillan. What we're seeing come through here is some really detailed feedback on a specific issue in and around Hepburn's drain, and then also a broader issue that's sitting in and around rural stormwater and land drainage. So with regard to Hepburn's drain, with the points that are raised, we're advising that you call for a report from officers to come back to council to discuss the matter in that respect, because it's not going to be able to be solved through the strategy, because that's sitting at a sort of a more global picture of how we manage our infrastructure. And with regard to the rural stormwater, the land drainage aspect, that's quite linked into the stock water work, and there's another big piece of work that's sitting in the background. But I'll bounce to you, Neil, if there's anything further you'd like to add.
Yes, the Hepburns Road issue is a land drainage issue, and we've got this around the whole district. We've got it above Tynwald, Mount Somers, Methven, and we are in discussions with Environment Canterbury to discuss the way forward with land drainage. As a council, we typically only deal with stormwater within the the town boundaries, and it's quite clear we're having a lot of flooding issues as a result of land drainage coming from the rural area into our towns. So we are engaging with Environment Canterbury to discuss how we're going to manage this going forward, considering cut-off drains or whatever else may help with divert and control surface flooding coming in from the land just outside our towns. So it's something we're working on, and we'll bring back to council as soon as we have more information on that.
Can I just, for clarification, Neil, you will generate a report based on our land drainage and our floodwater concerns with regards to the submitters that talked about all the stormwater problems?
Yes, we'll provide a report with an update of the progress we're making and what the options going forward. As soon as we get that information, hopefully in the next few months.
What is your expected time to undertake that?
We've had our initial meeting with Environment Canterbury. Second meeting is within the next month, and following that, as we get more detail, I'll provide updates to council through our activity briefings. And if there's a decision to be made with some options, certainly a report will come to council.
So would we be expecting that this term of council?
No, I don't think it'll be this term. To be able to bring a report, we'll certainly provide updates as to where we're heading, and at Mount Somers we may have a report to you, but a general land drainage issues with ECAN and rating for the work that's required will probably take longer than that.
And I understand there was a report generated about 9 or 10 years ago. Would you be able to circulate that to us as well? Apparently there was a report done on land drainage many years ago.
Is that the one is it specifically on Hepburn's drain or a general?
No, Hepburn's drain, I think. Up Ashburton Lyndhurst concern,
There was some communication and I think reference to there was a technical report done by Opus considering the drainage issues as a result of the Ashburton Lyndhurst drain closing. If that's what you're referring to, yes.
Can you just send that round at some stage?
We can share that,
get familiar with the topic. Liz?
Yeah, just going back, I think that's really good to get a report. And I know, Neil, you've met with some of the community up at Mount Somers to talk about their issues, and I think that's quite key, is actually meeting with people. Councillor Cameron and I met with a resident yesterday up Coniston Way and sort of got an understanding of the lay of the land. So I think meeting with those people who are living there and know what happens when they get a good rainfall is really important too. So thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Lynette?
I think it's a great move forward too, very timely. And this is always also Carter's Creek and Remington's drain. I just thought I'd better mention it because it's been coming through here so long as they're in this big overall report. That would be great.
Yeah, thanks. The Timwood, they'll definitely, I'm sure Carter's Creek definitely will be. Yep. Thank you. Thank you for that, Tony.
All right, I'll go through the following pages, which refer to a lot of the issues as just discussed. So it's page 32. 33. 34. 35. 36.
I think clearly we do need to look into the floodwater management. It's clearly a big concern for the community.
So will all these submitters be informed that we're going to deal with this issue separately, and we'll be getting a different report to council that covers all these concerns, or most of them, I shouldn't say all?
Yes, we'll advise them of the approach that we're going to take, but also acknowledge it was great that they did make the time to make the submission, even though the strategy won't be the solution at this point.
37. 38. 39. Which brings us to that's the last page on this priority area, and we arrive at the 6th goal in priority area.
Rob, you would like to make a comment?
I was just wondering if we're doing a report, etc., or, some homework on the flooding problems around Ashburton, whether we tie in likes of Methven, Mount Somers, who obviously have the same concerns in their areas, whether that can all be loaded in the same report so we can deal with it as once, because we'll probably be putting the same ideas at a later date if we have to deal with them. Yeah.
I think Neil McCann is going to look at the whole district as a whole, because all these drains are all, and with exiting the stop water races, they're all coming together in sort of perfect storm, really, that all needs addressing.
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
And probably going back to the Ashburton River, it's clearly through the country the government has pretty much put their head in the sand and haven't been maintaining rivers for some years, and now we're getting the results with events of major flooding. And probably the biggest thing that Ashburton Council has done to date has been able to have consent to extract the shingle for the road that we're about to build in the next couple of years, and that's probably it's a short-term fix, but yeah, our riverbeds are building up and putting pressure on our stock banks, and there's been comments through here that we should take back control of the rivers from ECAN. Well, the implications of that on a council now would be humongous, because things have been left so long and the cost would be exorbitant, yeah, and out of control now. Yeah. So we just need to keep pushing the likes of central government, ECAN, to start doing their bit and taking that, what I see as a major threat to our community, and dealing with it very soon before we do have a catastrophe.
Yep, thank you.
Happy for me to move on to the
Yes,
next
thanks.
priority area? Right. So that's the 6th identified priority area, which is the transition to a low-carbon future, with the goal to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to mitigate the impacts of climate change and create a more sustainable future. And as you might have seen in the draft summary, we are proposing to just update the wording in this draft, but this is what the community provided their feedback on. And we can go through the comments, starting on page 41.
Just a comment on page 41, PWBP. It's a comment: monitor the burn-offs and print the results, and monitor yourself running around in vehicles. So the burn-offs are obviously ECAN, they monitor those, so that's not a Ashburton District Council issue. Running around in vehicles, do we have, I mean, I know we're sort of transitioning into some hybrid vehicles, but do we have any reports on how many kilometres we do in council vehicles, and I mean, does that get reported in any way and are there sort of means to reduce that or to work at reducing the Ks that we do? I know, I mean, we've got a large district, so we have to get in a car sometimes and drive somewhere, but yeah, is there any way of monitoring that?
So that's effectively monitored through our carbon footprint work, because that requires us to understand the amount of fuel that we're using, and obviously as a result of that, the kilometres that each of those vehicles are travelling, and gives us an overall picture of where our carbon footprint is. So in terms of this particular goal, I guess, or this area, it's about identifying what that target might be in the future and how we might move towards it. So we haven't at this stage identified what that target might be, but we've said we're going to work on that in the next 6 months and come back to you for you to decide.
And that would that be able to get reported through to council through the activity briefings? Is that where it would come to, or is it more?
Yeah, no, I think it probably could. I don't think we have.
Haven't done that in the past, but it just might be good to see that and see the goals and see if we're achieving them or not.
Yep.
They're good for visibility. Yeah. Russell.
Yeah, and that's what I was just going to touch on as well, sort of monitoring the results of this. If we're going to hybrid vehicles, are we seeing a genuine outcome from that? And the lady behind you is doing a lot of that work, I know. So, yeah, and get some science around it, so then we can prove that's effective, so we can keep rolling it out into our fleet, with some real actual data around it.
Yeah. And that's, I guess, what the process is. It's about getting a good set of data, good confidence in the data and what we're doing in terms of making sure that we're doing it properly and being able to report that and monitor it going forward.
Yep, we're all
Good.
done, Femke.
Yes, go to page 42. Forty-three. $44. That will be the last comments on the goals and objectives. If you're happy for me to move on to the next.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, so then we arrived at another question that we asked in the consultation, which was like a priority ranking from submitters, just to get an idea of what is most important to the community. So what you see here below, there's 14 submitters that ranked the priority areas from 0 to 6. And as you can see, it's both the resilient infrastructure as the sustainable water management that received the highest ranking, followed by the nature-based solutions, the community goal, and the waste area. And then on the other hand, the transition to a low carbon future, which receives a lower ranking in general. And some people providing feedback on their own in the comments in other, which we'll go through. Is there any comments or feedback? We'll go to the commentary that was provided. So that's on page 46.
Any comments on page 46 for the additional priority areas? Any comments on that? No, doesn't appear to be, Femke.
All right. Then the other question that we asked was about funding allocation. We asked submitters to share their thoughts on where council should spend funding on the priority areas and indicate the preferred level of support, a low level, a moderate amount of support, or a significant amount of support. And you see in the graph for each priority area what submitters provided feedback. So there's there's a range within the different priority areas on the level of support that the community would like council to provide.
Can I ask a question, Pam? Does the funding allocation reflect the priority allocation?
There's a bit of a some of it does. Yes, I can see if I can bring them.
You look at sustainable water, that appears to be in line with council objectives as well. We want sustainable water, and that appears to be a priority issue. And if we go down to sustainable water, I'm guessing, what are those numbers represented at the bottom? Is that number of people or percent?
There was a scale, yes, that's a number of, that's 20 submitters, so that's the number of submitters, yeah.
Okay, so it's quite a low level number of submitters, but 12 think that's a high, no, not even 12, 8 people think it's a high priority, and 5 people think it's not a high, offer a low level of support.
Correct, so yes, so that's the, sorry, which one are you referring to now?
Just trying to marry up where we spend our money versus what are our priorities, and do they reflect each other nicely?
Yeah, so people could have a different priority, but not the same thoughts on.
That's right.
Yes, exactly.
You would think if it's a priority, you want to spend more money there. Was my thinking.
Yeah.
Liz, you'd like to?
I'm on page 48. Are we up to that?
Yep, we can be.
Yep.
And just Chris Bell's comment on 7.5 million of extra spending. Out of that 7.5 million, was it about $5 million to spend on water meters for Ashburton and Tynwald?
That's correct.
Possibly Rakaia?
Yes, that's correct.
Russell?
Thank you. The sustainable water one's interesting, and council investment in that, because within this document, only X amount of people are actually on council supplied water that have made that comment. Other, it's around water storage out in the rural sector, which the council has very little financial involvement in. So
good point.
The actual thing doesn't necessarily equate to what our council investment should be directly, because it's, some of it we have no control over.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
I'll go through the pages with the comments. So that's page 49.
Well, I don't think there'll be any around this table that would disagree with Mr. Murray's comment. I think we'd all agree with that.
So the next step, if you're happy for me to move on, was getting feedback on the action plan. So at the end of in the strategy, or the detail of how we're going to reach these goals are in the action plans, which we
What page on the action plan?
50. I'm page 50 now. So, do you refer to the strategy?
I'm looking at the strategy. Yes,
so in the strategy, it starts from the action plans start on page.
Here we are, page 28.
Yes.
If everybody wants to open up the other Stella document, the strategy document's on page 28 in the strategy.
So every individual priority area has its own action plan. In total, adding up to about 80 proposed actions in the draft. And we asked community feedback if there was any specific action missing or anything that council should be doing, and to provide their feedback on that. So that's the commentary in the following pages, starting on page 50. And we will run through the action plan when we go through the draft after this. So if you have questions, we can discuss them then as well.
Femke, can I just ask a question? We're on the action plan.
Yes.
And the strategy. How does that relate to, like, Nick Yateman's comment? Where would we see the spending there? Is that in addition to the action plan?
So
it's not a reflection on the action plan.
So following the action plan is an overview of all new allocated proposed, of all the new actions that are proposed and the relevant costs. So that's on page 46. And I have to get to his comment. If it's relating to a specific action in the action plan. I think he's referring to, more generally, are you referring to his comment on reduced costs in areas of administration and services?
Yes.
That will be a more generic comment, to my understanding.
Okay. And it's not necessarily reflected in the climate.
No.
Yeah, climate change rate. Thank you. Okay. Anybody got any comments on page 50 or page 51? No, Femke doesn't look to be any comments.
52.
I'd just like to ask a question about water meters. Would Te Mata Arawai, the water regulator, would they, as part of the strategy, Neil McCann, do we need water meters? Is that part of the regulatory body? Yeah. So the water meters.
Through the chair, there's no requirement at the
Okay.
moment to install water meters
Okay.
from Te Mata Arawai, no.
Do you anticipate that would come up, or?
It's
been
hard
no
to say.
direction from
It's possibly the best way forward in managing and ensuring we have cost efficiencies in delivering our water. So from a management point of perspective, we certainly do see the benefits of it, and to be able to prove and show data, we will require them going forward, no doubt.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Liz?
Thanks. I'm on page 52 under goal 3, Murray Hawke's comment, remove funding for its Time Canterbury campaign, put the money into parks and reserves. How much do we spend, because I know we've got $50,000 allocated each year for climate change. How much do we actually spend on its Time Canterbury campaign?
I think that's entirely funded by ECAN. I would have to check whether there is an action within the Climate Change Partnership Plan to lift the efficacy of the investment in its Time Canterbury, but I don't recall whether that had money attached to it or whether it was an in-kind contribution.
Yeah, I think it was more staff time than anything else, but
But I think
Neil?
we allocate the whole $50,000 to it. It goes to the through the Mural Forum to the climate change thing that Richard is at today.
Correct.
$50,000.
Correct. So council's funding that we ring fence in the LTP is going directly to its partnership in the climate change, the broader action plan work. But the It's Time Canterbury, our comms team just dovetail in with the messaging coming out of ECAN.
Yeah.
So it's using internal resource. Yep.
Yeah. Thank you.
Page 53.
another question, sorry, just on Murray Hawkes' comment about budget for EV purchases should be removed from planning. So do we have any budget for electric vehicle purchases, or a hybrid our option going forward?
Through the chair, as a part of our fleet renewal work, when we're looking to replace a fleet vehicle of council, then depending on what the needs are of that vehicle, then we could consider a hybrid. At this stage, we don't have a fully electric vehicle on the fleet.
No, I didn't think.
Thank you. Along the same lines, e-bikes now are exceptionally popular, and a lot of different towns I've been to now have parking spots for e-bike where you can charge them while you lock them up in its parking space. Have we given any thought to looking down that line?
I'd have to go on to Neil on that one, I think.
We did discuss that at the streetscape time, but it was rejected at the time by council. I remember discussing it.
Through,
Oh, Ian?
through the chair, just when the CBD project was being developed, we did spec infrastructure to support future provision of those charging services. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. So there is potential to easily connect up because ducting and infrastructure has been put in to make it a lot easier if we do go that way in the CBD area.
So we chose not to put them in, I think, at the time. I remember that conversation, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we didn't provide it all.
You've got the underground electrics available.
It wouldn't be up to us to do it. Generally, it would be a company that would do it and then charge for the electricity. So it would be easy for them to connect up.
Yep, thank you. That's good. Thank you. Any other comments on page 53?
And that concludes we're getting to the last question that we always ask in the consultation, which is any other comments, which provides a range of feedback, starting from page 54. $55. $56. Oh. Sorry, so the commentary finishes on page 55, if there's any questions or comments?
No, thank you, Pempa.
Right, so that concludes all the feedback that was received on the official consultation. And what we've now what is now presented in the document is the feedback from the school engagement. And as for this specific topic, we developed a bit of a plan to discuss with youth, to engage with youth through the school, through school visits, and some of the councillors joined us on those occasions. And this is just separately showing you the feedback that we received from those visits to the 3 high schools within the district. And we asked similar questions on funding priorities and on the action plan, getting support, getting information and input on the youth support for certain priority areas and actions. So that's page 56.
It's interesting, Femke, how the students' priorities reflected the non-student priorities, isn't it? Pretty much.
Mm.
You know, the sustainable drinking water and the infrastructure and things. That's interesting.
Correct. And some of their comments on page 57 and 58. And 59.
It's PA3, resilient, engaged and informed community. The students are talking about the need to make sure that the community is educated as to how we can influence local activity. So that was quite interesting.
Correct.
Any comments on page 59 from anybody?
And on page 60 was the other exercise that we did, was what just looking with the students at the action plans for the individual priority areas, and they would highlight the actions that they liked, or let us know if there was anything missing, which would need to refer to the action plan maybe to see the actions. But
I think, Femke, that was a great idea to go out to the schools, and I particularly enjoyed that. You know, just even meeting the young people was good fun, really.
yes,
But I'm quite impressed with their feedback, is quite considered. You know, it's quite Because sometimes I think people think the youth can give very expensive, non-practical answers. So this all seems quite practical.
Yeah.
Yeah. Liz,
I was going to comment the same. I thought the same thing. The group of students that I spoke to, they really sat down and considered everything, and it was during their lunch break, so they'd given up their time to do that while they got had something to eat. But they did a really good job. I was impressed.
All right, if you are happy with, we've now finished the summary feedback, and the next step will be to go through the actual draft document.
Can we have a wee break now, come back at 10:30? Would that suit you to go through the draft?
Yes, certainly.
Strategy?
Yes.
Thank you very much, and thank you everybody for helping us go through that. And Well, welcome back everybody, and thank you for tuning in. We're now going to go over, we've gone through the summary of feedback booklet and taken on board what the submitters have said, and we've already had the hearings, so we've just gone through the deliberations, and now we're going to review the draft climate change and sustainability strategy. And Femke, you're going to lead us through this, I understand?
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So, as you will see in the document, following the consultation and the hearings, we have made some proposed changes using track changes, so you can see what we're proposing, and also we did an internal review, and so some of the changes are just to improve the document according what we think can be more clear, or to help the understanding of the topic. And everything is indicated in the track changes, so we'll look for your guidance on whether you want further changes to be made, or if you agree with what we're proposing there.
So how are we going to go through this, page by page?
Page by page, yes.
Okay,
Just recommend to let me know if you want me to stop.
Thank you. Okay, Phil.
Is that the bits in red that are underlined? That's the
Correct.
intended changes?
Yes. So,
so what's the blue underlined bits?
So it's different colors. I'll find it. I think that depends. So, for example, on page 5, all the red is proposed changes.
Yes.
Are you referring to the blue?
The next page, if you go down to the bottom of page 6.
That's different people working in the same document, or different times when the changes are made. So when you track changes and you do it on different times, it chooses a different color.
Oh, right.
So it's basically just council's proposal, or the council staff's proposal for change. Yeah.
Thank you.
So I'll start page. 2 and 3 is the table of contents. We didn't make any changes there, and neither did we in the forward. On page 4, if there's any feedback, otherwise we can go to page number 5.
Or the mayor. Have you got any more feedback from your mayor or comment on page 4, Neil? No, I think he's happy with that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to page 5. So the little text box on the right top is just an addition, because there was some community submission feedback on adding more explanation to the glossary, so we added that as a...
Can I ask Carolyn?
Yes, of course.
My strategy, part 1 here, I haven't got all the red underlined in my document.
Section.
Thank you. Femke, we had a lot of discussion, or we had a lot of feedback with regards to the definition of climate change, and is climate, where you get in science, evidence-based. What is climate change? You've got a reference here from Its Time Canterbury. Presumably, is that a universally accepted reference?
So during I think one of the workshops, it was referenced that it's quite important to not refer to international standards, but keep it local in that sense. So we've specifically referring to Its Time Canterbury, where we use their definition, and often they refer to other institutions, but I think it's important for people when they read it that they link to something that they know and that they understand is close to where we are.
Thank you, and I hope that, because that was some feedback from the submitters. Neil, you'd like to say?
Just a question on the page 5, yep. In the red, it starts in 2015, then it talks about 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, and in brackets 13.7 degrees. What is the 13.7 degrees?
So that is the pre-industrial level. Yes.
For what?
For the degrees, the world, the
average global temperature.
Average global temperature.
Oh, so pre-whatever was 13.7?
Correct.
What's it now, do we know?
It's close to exceeding by the 2 degrees. I think it's 15.3, somewhere around there.
Thank you, thanks.
Is that the average, the 13.7?
I think that's the pre-industrial average temperature, and the
But it
Paris.
doesn't say average in that. Do we need to say average, or that it just said pre-industrial temperature?
But it's a pre-industrial level, yes. And so the whole the Paris Agreement is referring to not exceeding the 2 degrees, which we're heading towards, but that we're not there yet. But that's what this is
Yeah,
referring
I
to.
understand that, Femke, but it doesn't say average. Did they say average in other documents? Like that could be.
I think we can have a wee look at that text and just make it
It's
really
just a little
clear.
bit ambiguous. If people are going to be appealing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Team Tracy, I think it might be worth having you up, able to speak through a microphone, if that's possible, please, because then for all the viewers at home, they'll better hear your well-informed responses. Thank you.
Anybody else got a comment to make on page 5? Councillor Lovett.
Oh, I just got a comment in general here. Here we talk about we're a member of the Paris Accord, and that's heading towards what they're putting out. But on the other hand, we have a farming community which the Paris Accord doesn't take into account. You know, all the plantings, natives, because and this is a question, you know, me being a farmer and standing up for the farmers, it doesn't come into this anywhere, what all the good we're doing, all our biodiversity and everything on farm and our planting out does not equate into the Paris Accord because it can't be measured.
Are you suggesting we need to highlight the farmers?
You know, that they only measure by satellite on the Paris Accord. They don't take in kilometres of all the plantings we're doing on farms. So there needs to be a balance and an adjustment for the farming community. And I don't know where in this strategy a comment about this should be put in.
Okay, do you want to comment on that, Tony?
I don't think the average town person realises that.
I'm sure they do, but Tony, you'd like...
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
Put your light on, Lane.
It's useful. Sorry. To me, it's everyone. It's not only farmers. So we don't have to say we farmers are doing it well. We are all doing it. That's my point.
Tony would like to make a comment.
Thank you, through the chair. I suppose when you're preparing a document like this, you have to fall back on to what the government, the position the government's taken, and that's what we've reflected in the document, and then thought about how that could affect us and what we could do at a local level. We could, if council was wanting us to add some specific comments in around the agriculture and farming community, we could. But when I read this document and I look at the actions, it does capture everybody in our community, and everybody in our community does have a role to play, and they'll be different. Depending on whatever lens you do, and I don't think this document's intending to point blame at anybody. It's certainly not. We all know that wicked problems require really complicated and solutions from many different angles, and I think that's what we're trying to capture here.
Thank you. Anil?
We're on page 6. No, still on page 5. No, 6. The bottom comment in red, our district experience, that starts there. Then we talk about periods of drought, residents face different levels of water restrictions. And when they water their garden or not. That's not because of climate change. That's because we can't deliver, our infrastructure can't deliver the water to for everyone down that street to water their garden at the same time. The person at the end of the pipe will lose pressure for doing their shower or cooking or whatever. So that statement's sort of slightly misleading. Neil might like to comment why we have water restrictions. Is it lack of water, Neil?
He's not there.
What's it called?
Do we have a proxy? Oh, Eric, do you want to make a comment on that, please?
Water restrictions mean in regard of that we are unable to provide enough water through the reservoirs and the system we have in place. Yeah, that's correct.
So it's a system limitation.
It's a limitation, and it's a limitation in regards of resource consent conditions as well, how much water we take out of the ground, which is related a little bit to sustainability and resilience.
There's no shortage of the actual water itself. No.
Do we want some clarification around that comment? Some context? Take it out? The whole comment? Do you want to put about the bridge closing and the floods?
Oh, that's true.
That is true, it is. Well, can we take that out, please?
Yes, we'll make note of that. Yeah.
Do we all agree with that? Take that out? Nods around the table. Yep. Thank you.
Right.
It doesn't add anything to the topic in my view either. Okay, thank you.
Go to page 7.
Any more comments? Are we on page 7? Any comments on page 7?
Yep.
Thank you.
The under the plains section. So this is the impact of a changing climate in our district. Under the plains section, why have we got severe floods in recent weeks in the Tasman district have left many hectares under silt and river gravel? Why are we talking about that? Is that considered plains as well? I'm not sure what the relevance is to our district.
I don't think there is any relevance, so I think we can take that out.
Thank you.
Well, you could localise that, because in the severe 21 floods in here, it left many hectares productive land here under silt and gravel.
Yeah.
It did happen. And just above that, it talks about the increased risks of heat stress and stock and increases in occurrence of pests and invasive species. They're all negatives. There's positives with climate change. There's crops we would never have grown before, which we can now. We may be able to grow oranges. If we can't reverse this, we may grow different stuff we didn't grow before. There's got to be some positives.
Yeah, there's no positive. Yes, I support that. There doesn't seem to be it's all negative.
We do refer to the opportunities that climate change can bring to our district throughout the strategy, but if you would like us to add it here as well, then we're happy to do that.
Another question, if I may, please.
Yes, of course.
I may have missed it, but is there any commentary on cyclical planet warming and also man's effect? Do you understand my question? Yeah. Well, the planet's millions of years old, and it's gone cold, hot, and we're in a warming phase at the moment. So, have we actually included that commentary, and have we weighed that up against what man's been doing as far as producing greenhouse gases, etc. goes? Or is it all just about the greenhouse gases and naughty man?
I'd like to refer maybe to that would explain the question on page 5, where we acknowledge that there's different views around climate change and the science behind it, but that this document is based on the science that's presented by the New Zealand main institutes.
I think, Phil, we have had that discussion before around the table, and I think we agreed not to say where it was attributed to, but the fact that the climate is changing, so we deal with what's in front of us. So the climate is changing regardless of the cause. If you do not believe that man has influenced the climate, we still acknowledge that the climate is changing, so it still needs to be dealt to, regardless of whatever.
But we're saying that it's all about greenhouse gases, man-made. So we are saying what's causing it, actually.
I think in those links that we've provided, it refers to the natural change in climate, but as well saying that the man-made greenhouse gases, that is basically contributing to it happening a lot quicker than it has in the past. So, yeah, I think those links kind of explain we acknowledge that it is a natural process, but we are making it happen quicker.
It's acceleration.
Yeah.
When you watch the news, there's big fire events all around the world, and on the news they attribute that to warmer climate and more winds and all the rest of it. We don't have any reference to that, there's a higher higher wildfire risk is in there, and bold, beg your pardon. Yep.
Can I just make a comment
Of course.
adding on to Phil's comment? Mid-Canterbury, back in the 70s, prior to 70s, it was brown. It was a drought area, and until the farmers put in irrigation, and it's changed Canterbury's climate. We are green, and we haven't got the heat rising off the ground. We don't have those hot summers when you think you're pouring on water in the grass and animals and crops. Man has changed our local climate to what it was pre-70s, and that plays a big picture right across our Canterbury plains.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's what man has done here, and you'll find it in other regions. You plant lots of trees, you'll get more moisture, and they don't glide down in central Otago now because they put water on like we've done here.
We're not going to, that's outside the scope. We're not going to discuss
making
origins of it. We're going to deal with what we're in front of
we've
us.
got here, but we should mention it.
Yeah, let's just not bother putting that. We're talking about the climate change strategy, not about our personal views on climate change or otherwise. Yeah, thank you. Can we carry on, please, Bianca?
So page number 8. Page number 9. Page number 10. There's no changes there. Page number 11.
Any comments from the councillors?
Page number 12.
The other, regarding the point on page number 12, it's interesting you talk about we're addressing the funding concern that came up through some of the feedback, and you can see that we've got estimated costs, but they're not currently included in the budget. So the new council will look at what they want in the long-term plan next year, and what, beg your pardon, the annual plan next year and the long-term plan 3 years' time, and where the money is. This is the strategy.
Correct. Page 13.
Phil.
Thank you. In the did you know box, small countries together make up 30 to 35% of global emissions. What defines a small country? Is it size? Is it population?
Sorry, I will have to go back to the reference to find out what specifically is meant for this. I assume it's a combination of both.
And do we know how many there is? And is there any reference to them equating to what China produces on its own? And question number 2, if I may, please. The following line, while New Zealand's total contribution to global emissions is small, its gross emissions per capita are relatively high. We produced in 2022 0.08% of global emissions. So not even 0.1%. I just have a question around why per capita is relevant. Isn't it how much is actually being produced is the really relevant bit, not per person?
Yeah, I think in the grand scheme of things it is, but I think it was more for us to see just how much New Zealand is producing per person, and that we do have room to make a change on this. Just to bring the attention that we're actually just behind China in terms of per capita emissions.
Thank you.
See, to me, that's sorry.
No, you're right.
It almost is sort of scaremongering a wee bit, you know. It's just got that feel about, just my personal opinion, that it's. But we are producing 0.08% compared to China's 30 to 35, and yet we're being sort of ranked alongside them. It just doesn't sit right with me.
Thank you. Russell.
Thank you. And then in the same box, the good news is for the past years there's been a slight decrease in our national emissions. Have we, though, most of our production in this country now has been sent offshore? You know, most of our furniture factories, clothing factories, they've all gone. We now buy everything in from overseas. We export our logs and then re-import them as furniture and that sort of thing. So that to cross-reference that statement with the products we use, our global emissions probably haven't reduced. It's just we're getting them done in India and China instead of New Zealand, and that makes us feel good. But for me, it doesn't make me feel good because actually I don't think we're helping it at all. And I don't know how we cross-reference that into this.
Liz.
This probably should have all been discussed when we were doing the draft
That's right.
strategy, but would it make sense to just have the information and the links to those 3 websites there instead of a commentary? Would that please councillors more?
I personally have no problem with the commentary. Do you want a view of that around the table, or how? Is there a view on the commentary?
We'd like a sense of direction. If there's a collective view of take it out or change it, then we'll do that. Otherwise, we won't make any changes unless you direct us to collectively.
Okay, Lynette, do you have a comment on that?
I don't mind the commentary long as you put in what New Zealand, we're 0 point whatever it is in that. Let's give people a bit of positive that
we're a small country.
We're a small country, and that's what we're producing. So I think that's an important fact that should be in here, that people can look at that and think, you know, well, we're way down there, we're not producing.
Sure. Elaine, do you have a comment on that?
Yep, I am. We think we are doing well, but we're not. So just take it. We're not doing it right. Completely, yeah, with other big or small nations. So to be saying, oh, I don't want to see that. Hold on. I do something not right. The other people, a lot of people together, they have less pollution. And here we are in Green New Zealand saying how good we are. And we're not. So leave it in.
Okay. So the team want a guide as to whether to leave the commentary in or take it out. Can people put their hands up whether they want to leave it in? We've got 5 leaving in. And so we've got, by proxy, 1, 2, 3 leaving out. So we put the commentary in. Yep. Now, do we want to add the 0.08% aspect to the commentary? Yes. Hands up for the yes for that. 5. Yep, fine.
Noted. Yep.
Okay, that was well resolved, team.
Page 14.
But still, would you even go further and say where emissions come from? Half our emissions come from oil-based products. The coal, oil, cars, etc., what they burn and coal. The other half comes from agriculture.
Yeah. Can you do that? Add that?
Yes, of course.
That would be quite interesting for people to read that, and then they can see how they can influence that as well. Yeah.
Yes, we'll add that. Yep.
Yeah,
So if you
we'll
wanted
add
to
some more context to that.
So if you want to
particular
lower
box.
the emissions, get rid of your vehicles, and even though it burns coal, get rid of the animals. You shoot yourself in your foot if you do both.
Well, that's emission zero, other aspect, and that's right. We can just, the people can make that call. But there are other aspects of climate change that perhaps people can influence more, of sustainability that people can influence more from their own home, and it's more achievable, like appropriately disposing of their rubbish and choosing their right forms of heating or whatever, you know. So I don't think we should make it we can't do anything, it's futile sort of situation.
We're a small population country,
That's right.
so we need transport to get us around.
That's right.
Because we don't have a lot of public mass rapid transport. We're not big enough for that.
No.
But,
And as the
per
fourth-
capita,
yeah.
we have a high emissions per capita because we've got a big land area, not many people here. if you remove the animals, which some people would like to do, you'll forego all your export earnings. And at the moment, agriculture is holding this country up for export earnings. So you can be careful what you wish for, but let's have a balanced view.
You got that, guys? I don't think anybody in Ashburton would
I
want to
disagree.
see, and we're the fourth largest roading network in the country. So we and we invest in that.
As the Shane Jones, the Minister of Energy, I think he is, has mentioned 70% of the energy New Zealand uses is from oil products. 30% is renewable. Most of our electricity is renewable, but we have all the other energy that we use, and 70% is from non-renewable products. So, you know,
Point well made, Neil. Rob, you'd like to make a comment?
Yeah, everyone has a raft of views of what is perceived as being right. And as a council, we're putting our hand up and acknowledging we're aware, as is most of the country, and particularly our agricultural sector has been very aware for some time and has been doing their bit. And what we are doing is as right as we can be within reason of how we finance it. Yeah, and that's what we've got to push with this.
Thank you. Okay, Femke.
Page 15.
Sorry, I comment on 14 at the bottom. The nature-based solutions to mitigate climate change, and it talks about green roofs, rain gardens, and I know we have some rain gardens in the CBD now. Do we do any green roofs? But also it talks about constructed wetlands, and Ocean Farm was mentioned earlier. The wetland down there has water coming out of it that's worse than when it goes in, and we're talking about nature-based solutions.
The wetland at Ocean Farm, I mean, that's looking at a whole different scenario because that's wastewater going through there. Constructed wetlands is going to be stormwater, so a lot less contaminants, hopefully, going through there. So I think the wetland at Ocean Farm has to be looked at in a totally separately.
So are we thinking that we should be constructing wetlands for stormwater purification? Is that the idea with it?
I think these are just all examples, really, of potential nature-based.
It's a journey, you know, and all these things mitigate it. So it
could be used. So some of them might come into play, some of them might not. But this is just about giving an example of what some of those solutions might be.
Constructed wetlands are used around the whole county in various situations. So, there's a lot of constructed wetlands in our county at the moment. Okay. Anything else to say, Phil? Yeah, no, waiting for Phil to turn his light off. Yeah. Lane?
No, Phil is right. And on Monday, with the biodiversity group, it was quite good to hear that a lot of farmers putting wetlands in, and ECAN is quite happy to help them. So that option is there.
Thank you. Neil?
Yeah, just think about the 0.08 figure, and I just thought it was 0.07, but there's not much difference between them. And that figure's been around for quite some time. Yet over the last probably 10 years, ECAN's funded, a lot of people have funded plantings of trees and native trees and all over the whole country. So has that 0.07 or 8 figure ever been updated with the amount of planting that we've all been doing in the last whatever years? How up to date is that figure?
What's the year on the reference?
I'm not sure, but we'll go back and have a look at that just to see what the latest information is and include that context as part of that box. To make sure I mean, the intent of that box is really just about highlighting what New Zealand's situation is in a world context where we sit, and the per capita thing is just a metric which is used internationally to compare countries, so it's just essentially a metric. So, but we can put that greater context around it as well.
If the number hasn't changed, then we're not achieving anything.
Or maybe neutralising it.
That's right. There's
maybe.
population growth and there's production growth and other things that may be maintaining it at that same level.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of trees planted, mainly North Island and in forestry, some to be carbon farmed. Does that make a difference here? Yes, it does. And the government's changed the rules around how much you can put into a farm into trees. You can't do 100% of a farm anymore. I think it's 20%, and that rule doesn't take effect for another month or two. And in the last wee while, I've read that IKEA have just bought 2 farms here, so they can offset their carbon, carry on doing what they're doing, but use the farmland here that they're going to plant trees on, already got trees on, to offset. So, in moving on, offsetting, do we mention offsetting as a good thing or a bad thing in here, or should we?
Thank you. Phil?
Do we mention offsetting in here or not, as a good thing or a bad thing? Or is it appropriate to be in here?
Do you want us to comment on the government policy with regards to offsetting? Well, I couldn't see it. Phil, while we all consider that comment, Phil, would you like to make a comment?
Yes, on the nature-based solutions, and it also talks about the key aspect of strategy goals, etc. A small-scale native food forests in there. No, hang on, I'll come back to that.
So with regards to the Mayor's comment, do we sort of have a reference to the government implementing carbon sort of sequestering or whatever as a policy to try and mitigate carbon emissions, or do we put some sort of reference to that? Is that what you're saying, Neil?
Is offsetting a good thing or a bad thing?
Oh, but that's it. This is a strategy.
Yeah, but we've got a lot of comments in here about things. And the airlines buy forestry all over the world. They're here.
So what's your view? What do you want to say? Offsetting does not appear to be...
I've got no view on it, but should we have a view on it?
No, I don't think so.
So I'm busy writing up a draft for the emissions reduction plan, and yes, we do refer to offsetting in there. I don't see it as a bad thing, but I think our main goal should be to reduce where we can first, and then realistically, we're not going to be able to reduce in every sector. So that's when you look at offsetting emissions through the forestry or... unfortunately, we don't have too much information on our forestry with... Who was the... the guy who was it, Terry? Terry. Yeah, when he left, he took... There's no one that's really covering that at the moment. So I'm hoping to look into that and see exactly what sort of offsets we are currently making. But yeah, it's definitely something that is referred to.
Have we referred to carbon offsets when we worked out our own carbon footprint, which I know the council has done? Have they considered offsets in that figure?
No, it hasn't been considered. It's just mentioned in the reports that we do have forestry, but we haven't included that as
when
yet.
You give us our targets further down the track, will you put the offsets attached to that?
We can look into that,
because that would seem, to Neil's point, quite relevant if that's the focus of the government, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Buy your way out of whatever. Yeah. Is that? Are you happy with that, Neil? Phil, are you happy with that?
Yep.
Okay.
I've got another comment though.
I'm sure. What would you like to say?
There's more to come, sorry to say, Carolyn. part of the nature-based solutions, the food forests mentioned here, the
What
grey-
page you on, Phil?
Page 15.
It's the green highlighted bit on 15.
Yes.
I lost it briefly before. Yeah, great for removing carbon and producing sustainable organic food at the same time. I've mentioned in the past food forests, and it's just gone straight into the too hard basket. Should we even have this in our strategy or plan when it just seems to get kicked to touch?
Do we have a view on that? You got a comment on that, Rob, or do you want to hang on a moment? Hang on. Do we have a view on whether the food forest should be referenced in our climate change strategy around the table? Lane.
Why not? People want to do it, they can do it. It's an option.
What is a food forest? Is it planting? Fruit tree, yeah.
Through the chair, I think in this context, it's not coming through as a part of a work program, to pick up Councillor Hooper's point, but it's not to mean that it can't in the future, and it's not to mean that from where it's located in this part of the document, it's about giving examples about what this NBS looks like, what the community could do should they choose to, what we could do should we choose to fund it as a council, because it ultimately comes back to funding.
If that's the case, I'm happy to keep it in, but I was probably at the similar view in that there have been people who have wanted to start food forests and it hasn't taken off. So
But anybody can start a food forest.
yes, they wanted to start it on council land, so it was in the too hard basket. But I think this keeping it in as a goal or something to aspire to would be a good idea.
I think. Phil, you got a comment?
Yeah, just on Tony's, with a lot of the comments throughout the feedback were saying that we need to sort of have specifics in there and goals, and I felt like that they were wanting dates and things, and we're just sort of saying here in this example, maybe in the future, and I think we were getting a reasonably clear message from.
Tony, do you want to just tell people what the purpose of the strategy is? Would be timely.
Yeah, sure thing. So the strategy is about, and this is quite a different strategy to anything we've done in the past, really, because it's about trying to give a bit of hope and acknowledge the scale and the significance of climate change and sustainability for, we're hearing it everywhere, internationally, nationally, and so now we're trying to put it into the local context. I think that your strategy sets your principles, your goals and your objectives, and from page 28 in the document, that's our actual action plan. That is the things that we are saying we're going to come back to you in 12 months' time, and you're going to be able to assess as a council, have we made any progress or not. If there's something that's sitting up in the strategy like a food garden that you think, actually I want to give that another go as a council, we'd like to try and encourage that somehow, we could bring that down into the action plan, because then it becomes something quite tangible that's measurable, and we're going to be able to track it over time. It's about the action plan. That's always a fine art of, you can have a million things in the action plan, but actually your resource can actually only achieve 100 of them. So it's about trying to put an action plan together that shows some direction, so shows leadership, shows how we're going to work with partners in the community, because council can't do it all on its own, and how we're going to celebrate the good work that others do, but at the same time bounded in something which we've seen very clearly through the feedback is, don't spend too much money. Make sure that you're doing sensible things. So we need to, it's a fine art to balance the action plan. But if there is something specific that's sitting up in that strategic space to give of an example that you'd like to see brought down, we can make that happen. And you can monitor progress in that way. Because I do accept your point that it is just words on a piece of paper otherwise.
Lane.
It happens all over the world. And even here, if you think about it, we've got community gardens. People learn to grow fruit and everything else. You just put it in, leave it in. It's an option what can happen.
Thank you.
And it happens.
Thank you. Russell.
Thank you. And also we've been focused on planting natives. We've been told that's the way to fix some of these problems. Now we're learning fruit trees will help do that. Where we have to be careful, you plant a native tree, you pretty much walk away, you don't have to do too much to it afterwards. You plant a fruit tree, someone's got to prune it, spray it and do all those things. So if you bring that as a policy in council, you're going to have to allocate a lot more funds also along the way to do that, but not saying it's a bad idea.
And that's where we can look at opportunities perhaps for partnership. To say, okay, it might not be on our land, but we might help support an organisation that is running a community garden, for example, to go for a fruit forest.
That's right, and we do support community gardens. Rob?
Yeah, just back to the other side of the spectrum with, I was getting a little bit nervous when you were talking about measuring our emissions against what forests we have and with those planted, etc. It's become very irrelevant nationally now with wildling pine, wildling, whichever way you want to pronounce it. The government is ignoring that problem now, and it's creeping into our high country, back country. A lot of that's been locked up and is now fuel for fires, which is another problem. So we are trying to claw back a few emissions in one area, creates a cluster further on.
That's right.
We just need to be very careful about, once again, what we wish for.
Yep, good comment. Okay, we'll go back to the food forest business. I'm happy to leave it in. It's aspirational. It's an example of what people can do, and people might want to do that on their own private land. Are there people that want specifically to see it taken out? You want to take it out, Lynette?
Yeah, because you're talking about nature-based solutions, and fruit trees aren't.
Oh, I just think
natives?
let's just
I'll
not
take
go
it
there. Anybody else want to see it taken out? No, only one. So sorry, we're going to leave it in, please, guys. Thank you. Okay, page 15. We're up to resilient, engage, and informed community. Are we all happy with that?
Go to page 16. There's just some changes for clarification.
I'm just wondering, you've got a paragraph there on the Cape Valley landfill and...
What page are you on, Liz?
Page 16.
Yes.
And you've added in the methane produced from biological sources, e.g. plants. Would it be worth, since we did see their brand new electric truck yesterday that they're trialling, would it be worth adding some a sentence about that in there?
Yep, sure thing. We can
So
do
Yes,
that.
you've
definitely,
got
yeah.
about the generating the electricity as well.
Put a photo in of the truck too.
Yes, we'll do that. Page 17. And the paragraph removed there is just because it was a double up. So we just try to clarify and improve the reading experience.
Yep.
Just on resilient infrastructure, and read the comments, it's on page 16.5. We need to ensure existing and future infrastructure withstands climate change, is right. And then down below it talks about heat, drought and wildfires. That's what Canterbury was 100 years ago. We had heat, we had drought and we had wildfires. And then we got irrigation and it changed it. And why did we get irrigation here? We took the water from the rivers, because when there was a drought happening on the plains, we had the northwest winds coming up over the hill from the west coast. It was raining on the west coast, our rivers were full of water. So we've captured that water, we irrigated the plains with it. So that removed the drought, which also removed the heat, which also stopped the wildfires. And there's definition or an example of a wildfire, it might have been the 1930s or 40s, where the train went through Chertsey.
Yes.
Coal-fired train, there's a book written about it, the Chertsey history. It either come off the wheel, it wouldn't have come out of the old smokestack coal because of a coal-fired, and it blew a spark out and it burnt from the Chertsey railway line to the coast. took out a huge amount of land, houses, livestock, and big devastation. So we've changed it by using the resources we've got. We don't have those things now. So if we turn the irrigation off, we'd go back to heat, drought, and wildfires again. So it's not a suggestion, it's just a comment. That's what's happened over the last 100 years.
Absolutely. But I don't think anybody's suggesting we turn the irrigation off, because that would devastate our local economy. Well, in the strategy, I just go back to the document, we're not suggesting it. So the heat, though, I think the infrastructure comment with the heat is true. Like, you look down the end of Oak Grove in the summer, the tar melts, you know, or down was your road lane, wasn't it, that was soggy, you know. No, this is like last year. Oh, yes. But I still think it's relevant to leave in there, or would you like, yeah. Phil?
Thank you. Under the resilient infrastructure, I'm wondering if we should have, I think the number one thing as far as it talks about flooding and riverbank repairs, etc. But we all know that the number one thing is there's too much shingle in the river. Mm-hmm. Should we not have comment in there that we keep on ECAN's tail as far as getting shingle out of our river goes? Then they won't have to worry so much about their riverbank repairs. If there's a nice deep channel, the bridge won't get slashed building up and dug out and things. There's plenty of water going underneath that. I
think that's a good point, but that would come under the actions, I'm guessing, not in the strategy. The strategy would be maintain our rivers, you know, maintain shingle in our rivers or something at a safe level, but then the action would be lobby ECAN to get rid of it.
I'll make a note of that so when we get to the action plan for the resilient infrastructure that there's something that captures that intent.
Thank you.
Because we're doing the big overarching strategy, which is the direction of flow, essentially.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Femke.
Page 18. Page 19.
Can I just ask a question, Femke?
Yes.
Does the government require us to have a climate change strategy? I'm just reading there about the government's Amendment Act 2019. It sets a framework. Is that law?
No, it's not a legal requirement to have a strategy. No.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Page 19. This just explains how the strategy connects with the other plans and strategies and documents that we have. No changes there.
One more question, if I may. Page 19, we've got here, all 11, we've worked together, it's committed funding for 50,000 per year for 3 years, which is beginning last year or this year?
Through the LTP, so that would have been 2024.
Last year.
Last year.
So this is year 2.
Correct.
Page 20. Here we just added actually what we have in all our strategies. You want to bring it back to the community outcomes. So just to set the scene of where this strategy fits in. So we've added that. And on page 21 is the proposed vision with no changes.
Is everybody happy with the vision? We had a few people that weren't happy with the vision and thought it should encompass more activity, but are we all happy with the vision? Happy? Yep.
Then on page 22, we just reference the principles, which were also part in our climate change policy prior. So this is just making sure that we continue that where we started. And then on page 23 and 24, we have an overview of the 6 priority areas, their individual goals and objectives.
We were going to talk about water in our discussion earlier, Water storage, would that come under sustainable water management?
Yes.
So we're going to add that in there, are we, at that position?
Probably in the next section we talk about that priority area, so we'll talk about that.
So, as
Phil,
you see,
sorry, I didn't, sorry.
Priority area 1, is there a crossover into local water done well and or ECAN with some of this?
100%. Yes. If you think of the strategy, it kind of sits across the entire council business, and also it's kind of holding hands with the Canterbury view of climate change across the whole region as well. And then the work that drops out underneath that is starting to pick up the work and the activities and services that we do. So incredibly interlinked with local water done well. Think of the water service delivery plan as actually kind of being the tangible, what the next 10 years physically will look like, and capturing what the state of our current water services infrastructure is sitting like. But it's all building back into a bigger picture of making sure that we're able to provide this for future generations.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Femke.
all right. Page 24, you see we've just updated the, maybe Richard or Trace wants to talk about that, but just to improve the understanding, we've updated the goal 6. And we've referenced, as a new objective, we've referenced the work that we already do in the regional work. So I'll leave it to Richard to explain.
Yeah, the reason for this edit is that the regional work captures the balance to be struck between emissions reduction and maintaining economic prosperity. And I'm not sure that I've heard any submitter or any councillor argue that we shouldn't be doing what we can to maintain economic prosperity. So it just felt that this added a little bit more balance to the objective. And the wording is largely, particularly in the action plan further on, is taken almost verbatim from the partnership plan, which you're already a party to.
Sure. Phil?
Sorry, yeah, me again. I have concerns about this transition
Which
to
one?
low carbon future, priority area number 6. And I go back to the 0.08 global emissions that New Zealand's percentage. And then I think, okay, so what does that make the Ashburton District Council's global emission? And I think, how much money are we spending trying to cut back on such a minuscule global amount? Is that value for money for our ratepayers?
I'll let turn your light off, Phil, and we'll let Neil respond to that.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I'm wondering if we shouldn't mention in the narrative somewhere that we are at 0.07 or 0.8, and whatever we do here will make no difference to the world whatsoever. None. But we are doing this because we need to give the next generations hope, or show the world that we can do it. We need some narrative around why are we trying to achieve something which will make no difference to the world whatsoever. And there's good reason why we should do it.
We've also
So
signed...
should we have a narrative around that? Does that make sense? Yeah.
We have signed the Paris Accord.
No.
Well, we haven't. Our government has.
Else did. Yeah.
And we're obliged to probably buy into that, I would suggest. Yeah, well, that's right.
I don't think through the strategy we're suggesting we're going to fix climate change. That's never been the intention of doing the strategy. It's about, I guess, what role we do have, and obviously as a council we do have a community leadership role going forward. So it's about how we as a council can help lead our community as well going forward. So that's part of the narrative. We can certainly add what you suggested into that as well.
Also, I think just in support of the strategy, we also talk about sustainability. It's not all about climate change. It's also, but the other thing is this is a stimulus for advancement in technology, which is a stimulus for, we might see advances in technology with regards to mitigating emissions or with regards to improving sustainability, and that presumably will have impact on economic prosperity of the district, or improvement in cropping or milk solids or whatever. Could have long other implications that we haven't possibly addressed in here. Like, this is just one document, and the costs, to your point, Phil, as I understand, looking at the costs are quite minimal, and none of them are committed, with the exception of supporting the mayoral forum's direction for the climate change. None of the dollars in the back here are committed.
And further to that, I guess council's approach to any emissions reductions to date has been very clear from our leaders, is that it has to stack up. We can't go and spend money to make a difference that actually doesn't financially stack up. And I don't see that position changing for us as a council at all. I will be very surprised as a council if you give officers a blank cheque and say, you're right, go for gold. I think we'll always have to make the case to make sure that any changes that we do make are actually reducing our cost in some way, shape or form. A big example of that was in and around electricity providers through EA and the work that was done down there a few years ago, and that amounted to a significant saving for council over a period of time. So from a cost perspective, there isn't a request coming for millions of dollars to be able to prove that we're meeting priority area 6.
Thank you. Good point, Tony. Rob?
Regardless how minuscule the difference is, or what percentage we are giving to the world, it is making a difference throughout the world. We are a farming community in our Ashburton district, and all markets now overseas focus on what we are doing towards climate change, and that affects what we produce, what we can sell, and what our Ashburton Township feeds on. So yes, it is being watched regardless of how small. If we are recognising and contributing even in a small way, it is being watched throughout the world.
Thank you. Neil, please.
It's me.
I beg your pardon.
That leads straight into where I was under sustainability, the conference I went to. The dairy industry is actually now starting to measure all the plantings and everything, and that could actually feed in to our sustainability under our native plantings, and that could be a goal, to work with perhaps a dairy industry and get that information to put in our strategy of the district, and that is moving forward on our carbon and stuff. So to me that probably would be a good positive in here.
Thank you.
Somewhere.
Thank you. Neil, please.
You mentioned milk solids, Madam Chair, so I'll raise it as well. We talked about per capita, we're some of the highest emitters in the world per capita. If you look at milk solids of what the cows produce, we are one of the lowest emitters in the world per kilogram of milk solids. We don't mention that in the document.
No, well, perhaps to Lynette's point, perhaps we should.
And Lynette is correct. The world, and Rob, I think also, the world is watching us for our milk products that are exported. They want to know what emissions have been created for them, and we are the lowest in the world, and every farm in Fonterra Farm knows what their emissions are, me included, and we get bonuses now from some large companies who buy the milk products, premiums for having low emissions. So that's real. We're getting those premiums now. Maybe why the butter's a bit dearer here.
So I think that supports some of the outcomes in the document. Shall we talk about this first? Lynette's suggestion, Phil, and then we'll go
I
back
was
to
just
you.
going to roll on to it really and
Okay.
just say I agree with what Rob and that are saying.
Yeah.
I think the world is watching you, correct, but what I'm saying is we need to stick to our knitting, and nationally the government is ticking a lot of these boxes. Do we need to be doing it as well?
Okay. So we had a suggestion from Lynette. Have we incorporated that into our strategy, or would that come under our goals, or where would that come? And the mayor, just to show that, we want to continue to be world leaders in our agricultural sort of production, and we currently are. We want to maintain that or something. Is that what you're suggesting? Yeah. Where would that go? If does everybody want to see something like that in the strategy? Anybody doesn't want to see something like that in the strategy? No, it's pretty. Yeah, it's not gonna. So we'd leave it up to you guys to find the right spot for it.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. I'm not going to hurt, is it? Okay, where are we up to, Femke?
So we're on page 25, and there it's some standards content for the strategy, explaining the implementation timeframes that we indicate in the action plan. It explains the reporting and review procedure, and what we've added here is just a proposal to actually also report or explain on how we know that the strategy is working. And this is just a paragraph where we explain that we want to how we're going to do that. So that's having once the strategy is adopted, to find specific measures and data sources where we can see that our goals are actually achieving what we want to achieve in the document.
Thank you. Russell, you have a comment?
So we're going to get an annual review of the action plan. Our carbon footprint, are we only going to find out once a year how we're tracking on that as well? Or is there some mechanism we can bit more regular on that one?
The plan is so one of the actions was to start a dashboard that can be seen on the council website to monitor. I'm not sure how that looks at the moment, but I'm hoping more frequently than annual. Yeah.
Is that with existing resource? No additional resource developing that carbon?
Unlikely, no additional resource. We currently use a software program called eBench that helps with the reporting of our emissions. And as far as I know, they will supply the training because we use their software. So, and how to set up the dashboards.
Thank you. Phil, you want to say something? Put your light on.
I think there's money tagged with that.
Currently, there's a proposal of $2,000.
And that's for the software.
We're already paying for that annually, but because I'm not 100% sure if they are going to charge us for some training and how far that's going to go. But so that's why we've put in $2,000.
Okay. So that may or may not.
Just in case, yeah, it's not 100% definite.
It probably goes without saying that we'd rather it was not spent.
Yeah. Obviously.
Anybody else got a comment? No.
All right. So then on page 26, that's again further explaining what you will see in the action plan, the different roles, explaining what they mean, and explaining the who column in the action plan, what we refer to as partners and organizations involved. And then from page 27, talks about the resource and funding, and it has a bit of a explanation of some of the symbols that you'll see in this draft, but once the strategy is being fully designed, that will be more refined.
You have here a comment that Mana Whenua were consulted in the development. Did they suggest any changes or make any comments on?
They've, in the initial stages, they've been involved in the draft and they've provided some feedback, and they have been in, we've always keep them in the loop, I think, with the 6 weekly UEs on the development and
Okay, thank you.
All right, so then on page 28 is the beginning of the action plan for the sustainable water management. So in this document, it's 1, 2, 4 pages of this this action plan, and we can just. There's no proposed changes from our side on page 28, but if there's any feedback, we're here to. I'd like to hear from you.
Sorry, it won't be a minute, Neil. Put your light on, Tony. What do you want to do?
Oh no, sorry. This is where water storage. If you're wanting to add anything specific for that, this would be the time to do it.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
that's
you.
what I was going to say. This, where does the water storage fit in this piece?
Okay, so can we put that in there somewhere, please, the water storage?
I guess.
Yeah, it depends, I guess,
You go,
what
Mark.
you're wanting to.
Beg your pardon, mate?
Sorry, it depends, I guess, what you wanting to include. If you look at Phil's submission, I guess it was at a sort of a level in terms of enabling water projects, I suppose. So if it's sort of an advocacy objective, maybe along those lines, or supporting where we can.
I think so. I don't think we're suggesting we build water storage.
No.
Yeah. Do we have a view on that? Oh, Phil, do you have a view
I
on the
know,
water
sorry,
storage?
no.
Does anybody have a view on the water storage comment? How it would be? Neil? Phil, you turn. Thank
It would
you.
go to 1.3, wouldn't it? Foster a culture of water conservation. So A, B, C might be advocate for water
There's-
storage.
Sorry, yes, there's further action on the page 30, so it goes to C to G.
Page 30. Oh, you got residential rainwater tanks.
So perhaps it could be a new action called H, which could be that advocates for water storage opportunities in the district or supports water storage.
Well, both large and small rainwater tank on your section.
Mm-hmm.
Getting up to a Klondike Dam for.
So you want something
water
broad enough
harvesting.
to be able to capture both ends of the.
Yeah, from the small right through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Policy writer.
Thank you. Excellent.
Just remembering, council had a subdivision where they had that in their rules, and then we couldn't sell all the sections, so we changed the rules. So council stepped down from its own water storage policy in that subdivision at the time because they were having trouble selling the last of the sections.
Okay.
So
Okay. Thank you. Phil?
Thank you. On action B, involving local communities, mana whenua, in water management decisions and encourage stewardship of water resources, have we gone hand in hand with Runanga to ECAN and said, please dig out our rivers? Have we got them? Have we sourced their stance on our river situation? Would that help?
Through the chair, I don't know if we have done that, but we could look to have that conversation.
Maybe a wee bit out of scope here, but,
No,
it's,
but
just,
it's-
it's
yep.
kind of, you know.
Okay. I'll go away and find out. Might not flow directly into that, but it's a good conversation to. Yep.
Liz?
Just a question for Neil Brown. What about that gravel extraction plan that ECAN did? Does that come into that?
Yeah, probably does. I'm trying to quickly refresh my mind on it. But it still hasn't been signed off yet, has it? It was out for consultation.
It's been consulted on, but I don't think I've seen a final.
Haven't seen a final.
I think so.
Yeah. But we've got through their annual plan process, we submitted we want gravel out of the river for the new road and bridge, and they are going to, the letter you will have seen, enable that, which is good.
Which is good. Yeah. Put your light on, Phil.
Just saying, it's a good start.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have any more comments on page 28 or 29?
So the action plan for this goal continues on page 30 and 31.
just a question around the water metering. It's got short term to medium term. Are we going to wait till we get some direction from Te Marae as far as you need to do this now, or are we actually going to go ahead and do it anyway?
We are waiting to get the results in regards of the trial we are promoting as well, because technology is developing so fast, to get a better understanding in regards of what we are getting from the technology and as well the outcomes out of it. Tomata otherwise not pushing at the moment in regards of water metering. That will rather come from the regional council if we would like to take more water takes, or as well from the Commerce Commission.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, all right. Thank you. Any other comments?
All right, then we'll move to action plan for the goal number 2. That's the nature-based solutions. So that's on page 32, 33, and 34.
Phil.
Thank you. I just had a question around the plan for the spatial layer, the blue-green network, and the new budget of $40,000. Is there a crossover into the biodiversity plans and things here? Is this not covered already in that?
Who's going to reply to that?
On behalf of Christian, I can say that that is currently not covered in the biodiversity strategy. Yeah.
That's new funding, so that again will come up next year in the annual plan process. That's not approved funding yet. Any other comment on this? Oh, thank you, Liz.
Thank you. I'm on page 33, just that top one. So the Ashburton District Natural Environmental Fund, is that a new fund that will be in place? And I see you've changed it from 20,000 to 15,000.
So this is one that I probably got myself well tripped up on when I was doing a review last week. So this is promoting a fund for external parties to make donations to council for our adaptation projects.
Okay.
And this is based on an example, perhaps Femke, you take over from here, of...
Well, we've received requests of people asking us, I'd like to, or maybe Christian can even explain. Stony Todd's microphone, if you...
Through the chair, we received requests from the community to have a donation pause where people can make donations, and then we use that to do biodiversity plantings or sustainability initiatives. And this action is also within the biodiversity strategy, but we are going to implement it through the climate change and sustainability strategy. So the funding here is to make it is to get it running and then advertise it to the businesses in the district for that donations to come in.
So we'll seed fund at $15,000, and then anything on top of that can be...
Correct. Yeah, $15,000 is to get the promotion up and running and get everything established, ready to go.
No, good idea.
Phil?
Just a quick double check. B and C, they're not 50,000 per year each, are they? For the 10 years, they both fit under the 150,000. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil.
Just look at the budget line in here now. We're seeing the new word "new" with some dollars associated to it, and if we adopt this strategy, that means we're adopting those dollars too in the strategy. So when staff do their budgets later this year, then those numbers, I assume, will automatically go into their budgets because you've adopted them here. So if that is correct, so when staff do their budgets, they would need to highlight this is our budget and this is additional coming from the strategy.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Correct. We need to make sure that you have that pathway at that point in time. You can see it you can see the impact of the money being included in next year's annual plan,
Yeah.
but also in the commentary that we give you, there's a decision point at that stage. Yes or no, are you going to keep that in or not?
Great.
Yep.
Thank you. Thanks for that clarification.
Any further comments on? Otherwise, I'll go to goal number 3. Everybody happy to go there? That's the action plan for a resilient, engaged, and informed community. And that's on page 35, 36, and 37.
Phil.
Thank you. The new budget of $50,000 for Action B, undertaking a local climate change risk assessment of the impacts identified as priority by the community. Can you give me some more information about that, please? And what we're looking exactly for, and how the 50 grand will be spent?
The intention here was to build on the work that was done at a regional level and to look at what the local picture for climate change risk looked like. And we had a conversation about this, I think, prior to the adoption of the draft strategy, as I recall. And I've spoken with a number of the other councils who are involved in the Canterbury Climate Partnership Plan, and discovered that what they had done in terms of their local risk profile was to consider which aspects of their district were had the highest risk and vulnerability, and then drill into those. And so the intention here would be to do initially some in-house work to identify those, and then to test those conclusions with affected parts of the community. So, for example, if we thought it was flooding in a particular rural community, that we would talk with that community about it before bringing a business case to council.
Liz, you'd like to make a comment?
Yes, but I'm on page 37. Is that okay?
Yeah, I just have one quick comment about on page 35 with it following on from Phil's comment about the 50,000. Is that an actual quote, or is that just best guess, or how
That's already the current funding. That's already in the long-term plan.
you
24,
get
34.
a plan to the maximum 50,000, or how does that actually? How do you spend the 50,000?
For the risk assessment.
Are you
So you
talking
pay somebody to do
sorry.
it, and they say we've only got $50,000, or do they say we want you to do a risk assessment? How much will that cost? How does that actually work?
So I think Femke was actually talking about the 50,000 per annum towards the Canterbury Climate Partnership Plan. This 50,000 is a very high level estimate, and clearly if we identified that a piece of work was going to cost more than that, then we'd either need to rescope the piece of work or bring you the explanation with the business case as to why we were seeking more than 50,000. It may well be that if we do some work and we identify that we've got 2 or 3 different risks that we want to drill into, it might be that we can look at 2 of them in 1 year, and then we need to seek funding in a 3rd year for another piece of work.
Okay, so that'll be discussed.
We haven't drilled into the detail yet,
No.
and clearly, depending on the nature of the risk and what we already know about it, will have a significant bearing on how much additional work needs to be done.
Yep. Liz.
Thank you. Page 37, under C, establish a volunteer community sustainability advisory panel with council support. So is this envisaged to kind of look like AdBag with different people from the community coming in, and how will it, I'm guessing, how will you then use that information that they from the meeting and bring it to council and sort of make any decisions? because it's easy to sit around and talk, and we all know, you know, we have the Road Safety Advisory Group, we have the biodiversity, and it's good getting input from the community and everything, but it needs to go somewhere when that information's received.
Thank you, through the chair. 100% agree.
Yeah.
This is where, when we, for the new training, we're looking at refreshing all the terms of reference for a lot of our groups that we've got, so that they have a very clear purpose, and then they also have a very clear pathway of if there's something specifically directed, that it has somewhere to go, because otherwise we can have, everyone loves a good meeting and a good chat about whatever they're passionate about, but it has to be meaningful. It has to be leading to something. For us as a council, it's a great way to keep really connected in with all the different work that's happening in the community, but the terms of reference are how we'll try and give everything some structure and scope.
Oh, that's good to hear. Yeah, thank you.
I just want to go back to page 35 to be this 50,000. We've got, you know, we're spending 50 here, 50 there, 50 there, and it's just going to all add up. And I'm just looking at this thinking, we know already where the flooding happens. We've had 2 floods go through here. Are we duplicating work? And I know on a big screen down in Silver Defence they can bring up all these layers of maps and look at all the funding, the flooding streams and stuff. Or is this, some of this going to feed into your water races and stuff around the flooding around towns, Barvellington and Mount Somers and all these villages? Or is that another lot where we're going to have to spend money? It just concerns me. We're just putting 50 here and 50 there, and it all adds up on the rates, and we could get pushback. We've got to spend money wisely. Neil?
My first comment would be I agree wholeheartedly. The money needs to be spent wisely or not at all. When I talked about it a few minutes ago, I talked about risk and vulnerability. We know that flooding risk is a genuine matter we have to deal with in this community. But vulnerability is also about understanding what mitigations you've already got in place to manage that flooding risk, and who's affected and how severely. So it's about trying to make well-informed decisions about where a targeted investment in better understanding of the risk is going to pay dividends in terms of better protection of our assets and better protection of our communities.
Thanks, Richard.
Just before we talked about that $50,000, and Richard said it's at a high level and 50,000 should do it, but if it doesn't do it, we'll come back with a business case to or for more. So thinking we don't know what 50,000 will get us and what it won't. So I'm suggesting is we leave the word new there, and we, all those new being new monies, we take out all the numbers, and after new it is, and a business case will be presented to the appropriate annual plan or long-term plan with no numbers in there. You'll have them in your head, but put that $50,000 in, it slides into a budget. If there's no budget there, then the business case has got to come to the appropriate annual plan or long-term plan with a budget, and it'll have some proper numbers around it.
So are you suggesting we adopt the strategy, and then we omit all the new spending?
All the new
spending
numbers
is omitted, and it comes to when we're discussing the annual plan and these initiatives, then they're each reviewed, so there's not going to slip in undiscovered, essentially.
So let's take that one, undertake a local climate change risk assessment. So when we're doing, and the staff want to do that in 2 years' time, so that annual plan they come to, we want to spend 50,000. Here's the business case for $50,000 to undertake that. Or it might be 40 or it might be 80.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
There'll be some more science around exactly what the number will be, and then we get to discuss it, rather than putting here 50 in. Actually, it is 80, and we get a business case of the extra 30 because you've already approved the 50. No, we haven't.
Yeah, good idea.
No numbers. Everything that says existing budgets, leave as is because it's all covered. It's just the new monies, and everyone will have to have a business case to spend
Okay.
it and make its way through the annual plan or whatever.
I think we'd have agreement to that, though.
Through the chair, I suppose our current approach with business cases is we do a full business case for spending $50,000 and over, and so I guess what we talked about earlier was, and maybe this is the agreement we need to reach, is anything less than 50,000. It's a note into the budget notes that you've got with a question. So we've included the $20,000 here for this project as per XYZ. Are you happy for it to continue or not? And then for anything of the significant spending, then it triggers the business case approach, because otherwise we could be doing business cases for it. We're going to change the threshold for business cases, and if we change it for one project, then we run the risk it changes for all projects, and you'll have a lot of people upstairs spending a lot of time writing business cases.
Yeah, so the strategy might be the cost centre, and there might be 5 things in here that want to be done, and they might add up to 250,000. So one business case, here's the items we want to do.
That feels great.
I think
that's really sensible.
In that particular year, appropriate year that they want to do it.
Yes, okay.
And they're itemised out.
So for clarity, Tony, that then these new dollars will not slip in to the annual plan for extra spending without really careful scrutiny by the council.
100%. I'm hearing loud and clear what you're saying. It might not be as clean as a single cost centre for the climate change, but I do understand what you're saying. Any new spending from the climate change and sustainability strategy for that year has to come through in a collective business case and pick up all the bits.
Is everybody happy with that?
Yeah.
Thank you, Neil.
We can make that happen.
Thank you.
Yep.
So when we adopt this, if we adopt this later on today, this morning,
No, it will
come to council.
comes to
anyway.
council on the
Yeah.
3rd of September.
Yeah, of course it does. Yeah. Okay, who's next? Phil.
Thank you. 3.2C, establish and support community education programs on strategy goals, and there's new money allocated there, $60,000. Can we not just fire our strategy goals up on the website and say, look, for any more information or jump on the bus with us, email climate change at ADC? Do we, I mean, once again, what are we getting for our money here?
Well, we'll find out. We don't actually know.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, do we actually need this one in that business case?
Maybe I can respond to that one. This is just a reflection of the consultation that we did, and a lot of feedback was on you need to educate the community. And initially we had small amounts of money in the different goals, but we decided if we have one goal where we focus on educating the community on different topics, can be on any of the topics that are in the described under 3.2C, that's going to help a lot for people to understand and to support and to engage with the proposed actions. So that's where this action comes from.
Okay, thank you. And just quickly, if I may, sneakily, D, goal are we on goal 3 yet?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. D, which is Liz's page 37, they establish a sustainability grant to support community projects that address climate change, another $20,000 there. Tony, is this kind of overlapping into some of those biodiversity grants that we give out for the guys who do, like, you know, the planting down at Trevor's Road and things like that? You know, that's got to have...
We think that the biodiversity grant as it is right now is quite narrow, and if you think of sustainability, it's actually more broad than just the planting or the biodiversity initiatives. Council may well turn around and say, actually, no, when you see the business case, you say, no, it's just going to become a biodiversity and sustainability grant, and that's your call. But right now, we looked at it, there's 2 different ways. I mean, do we try and apply a sustainability lens to all of our grant funding that goes out? But we felt that was going to be too restrictive given the diversity that we see through our grant applicants. So this was an alternative way to say, okay, let's try and foster good community projects that have a sustainability lens that are broader than just from a biodiversity perspective.
Rob.
Probably what I was about to say has been pretty much covered in the last few speakers, but what Richard was saying before. If he repeated that again, I probably can't, but absolutely agreed with. And Neil's reflects what the government's been saying about watching our dollars and cents going forward. And that's key now, and I think any extra money above budget now needs to be really scrutinised. And part of this plan, I believe, there's 50,000 here, 40,000 there, but it's all about being, I feel, proactive instead of reactive with the likes of fire, flooding, and storms. Yeah. And as time has gone by and I've got older, I've watched New Zealand become very reactive to disasters and stuff. And we need to front foot things now and get proactive. And I believe this plan we have in front of us is giving us good direction.
Thank you. Right. Russell.
Thank you. Just a couple of things on the 20,000. It might be someone applies for a grant to plant their fruit orchard, so that we have our fruit garden, and it's one step away from what we normally do under biodiversity, so that may be good. I also agree with Rob. I'd rather be the fence at the top of the cliff than the ambulance at the bottom, and a well-written plan with really good things in it can help achieve that. But to put 50,000 in context to write a plan, that's more than a councillor earns for a full year's work.
Thank you. Thank you, Russell. Lynette.
Yeah, the one comment I would make is, like, we had 35 submissions, and we've based this strategy heavily mainly on what those people presented to us, because one of the staff members sort of made that, comment about some of these things here, and I'm wondering, we've got to look at the whole community with open lens. And
through the chair, just to remind you, we did a really significant piece of pre-engagement leading up to the drafting of the strategy. So that was a far more that reached a lot of people in the community, and we heard from a lot of people at that point. So that's what helped to shape the initial drafting of the strategy, to have this lens in it. So it's not just the 35, is what I'm trying to say.
And they were all different to the ones that actually submitted the pre-engagement.
Not all the time, no. There are some common themes that are running through. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, carry on, please, Femke.
All right, then we'll go to page 38, which is the start of the action plan on the waste reduction and minimization. We have no proposed changes to what was in the draft. A lot of it is reflecting actions that are already in the waste minimization management plan.
Phil.
I'm nervously pushing the button.
Yes,
now.
well, you will be, yes. All good, you're making good comments. Carry on.
Well, thank you. I thought we'd investigated the feasibility around local composting, and there was issues with smell, and that I'm sure we brought this up in the past, so I'm not sure why that $60,000 is there.
Well, it's not there. It is there, but it's not budgeted, and there's going to be a submission to check if we're going to spend it. Do you want to hang up, Phil? Have you finished?
So part of the reason for that is, it's a long term. We've put it out long term, and part of that is, I guess, understanding the impact of the green waste operation when that gets running, and at that point we may have a different view about how we operate that locally. So it's thinking ahead of the future as to what might exist and how we might respond to that later down the track.
Long term's 10 years plus, isn't it? Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
When we workshopped the document before you adopted it as a draft for consultation, we had a very similar conversation. Mr. McCann was present. He explained that they had looked at this issue prior to the tender, and that was when you made the decision to push the time frame on this out to long term.
Thank you. Okay. Any more comments on this, on the waste management strategy? Aspect? No.
All right, then we'll get to goal number 5, resilient infrastructure. That's the action plan on page 41 and 42. No changes there.
I just have a question regarding, on page 42, the 25,000, which is future provision and it's medium term, greater use of durable low carbon materials. Is that for council to use? Like, why would we investigate that otherwise? Is that for, why are we doing that?
Yeah, correct. That's for example, the roading team. They can use different types of materials.
Thank you, good point, thank you.
Madam Chair, earlier there was a conversation about gravel extraction.
Yes.
And you made a note that you might look to bring in a specific action around monitoring and promoting appropriate gravel extraction from rivers to reduce the risk of flooding.
That's right. Thank you, Richard.
Infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking that if you wanted some advice on it, some words like that as 5.1D would possibly meet your needs.
Thank you. Yep, that would be good, I think. Everybody agree with that?
Yep.
Neil?
What about the mention of the submitters coming in and they talk about Hepburn's Drain, which is an old water race, above Timold, above Mount Somers, above Methven. Where do we, resilience of floodwaters there, where do we feed that in here? Or is it already in?
Well, we had that discussion earlier. Rick's going to do a report on it.
Who's going to do a report?
Neil McCann's team.
Yeah, should it not be in here? You don't think it's not under resilience here?
We could
high level.
We could put a high level action in here because I think this is a piece of work that we all know is coming and it could have long-term plan implications. And so it's continued investigation into the impacts of rural stormwater.
High level stormwater resilience for the towns and townships.
So then that would come through from Neil McCann's team, would be a report attached to this strategy.
No. So this would sit in the action schedule.
Okay.
And so in a year's time, when you're reporting back, you'll be saying, "Oh yes, that was that report, and now X, Y, Z is happening as a result of that."
And Neil produced a report from this.
Correct.
Action. Yeah.
Correct.
So feed that in some. Yeah.
So I think, team, that would be 5.1E.
And that would be short term, presumably?
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
You have a criteria called very short term, VST?
No, but...
Can we have a VST on that, please?
That's council guidance. There's no further comments on the resilience infrastructure. I'll go to page 43, the action plan on goal number 6, the transition to a low carbon future. Page 43, 44 and 45. I shall see 45, it has changes that we referred to earlier, which is just adding the reference of the regional work on emissions that's already happening. And Richard can talk to that if you have further questions.
Phil.
Thank you. We've got 6.2A, continue to measure council's greenhouse gas emissions annually and audit the inventory, $9,000 per annum. But then we're also developing an emissions dashboard and another $2,000. Do we need to do the annual audit if we've got the dashboard data?
If we're going to calculate our annual emissions for the public to see also on top of it, because that's going to be the full report of what's happened over each financial year. I think it's relatively, we've just done an audit with, I think it was 2022, 2023 carbon inventory. And I'd say I think it's very important to do this because we noticed a couple of mistakes from the inventory. So we now have to go back and change the previous ones. And it just makes the inventory more credible. So in saying that, it's probably not necessary to do an audit every single year unless something major changes. There's a major change within council. For example, we've installed the new sludge beds at Rikaya. That's going to change things up a bit. So I think it would be important then to audit. But if there's no major changes, it's probably not necessary to do an annual audit on each inventory.
Yeah, 'cause surely the data from the dashboard would give you.
It would, but it's going to when there is a change like adding in the sludge beds, you're going to have to look at that differently. Emission factors change, so that's going to be then manipulating the dashboard as well too. So I think it's good to get the overall picture of what's happened in that year, so the public can also see.
I guess it depends on how often the dashboard's updated as well.
Yeah.
Liz.
Thank you. Just a quick question on the walking and cycling strategy. Is that due to be reviewed next year? Did I see something on that?
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah.
It's in this.
Yeah. Yeah. So that will be reviewed and obviously link into the strategy as well. And then underneath that you've got C on page 44. Advocate for the implementation of a public transport service in Ashburton Town and Canterbury. Why would we have and Canterbury? Do we need to be advocating for public transport in Canterbury, or I know that's something that ECAN does, but it is good to see that we are advocating for whatever we could get here in Ashburton Township.
From memory, that picking up on that and Canterbury was picking up from the pre-engagement in terms of people would love they'd love to be able to jump on a train and get to Christchurch or head south. So it was trying to pick up on those broader desires that our community would like to see. And probably that's all our role can be as an advocate.
That would be nice too, wouldn't it?
Yeah, okay, I understand. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Lynette.
Yeah, I'll just go. I'll start off with Liz's one, advocating for, for buses. We've got a new one started now with trying to fit in and pick people up and take them, so that what we have been doing, advocating's worked well. But I want to go back to our audit reports, our admissions we're doing. We're creating all this big piece of work, which is going to take staff time to do. So is it a government requirement that we have to report in to them, or is it just a nice to have, what we're doing, to know what we're doing?
It's not yet a government requirement, but we have recently been asked by Tamata Arawai for environmental reporting, and that includes emissions, especially on the wastewater. So it's possibly coming, but yeah, it's not a requirement from government at the moment.
Because that's where, I was thinking that, the money side there, is it a nice to have? But once you've done it once, we should know what vehicles do, and there must be government guidelines, there must be stats and stuff there.
Well, every year it's constantly changing, so that it will be something for us to be able to monitor if we're getting hybrid vehicles. It's also good to see where we stand in terms of our electricity usage, where we can make changes. So yeah, it's a nice to have, but it's also good for us to monitor where we're at.
We're on page, 45 now? We're going through the budget now, are we? Has anybody got any comments on the support regional work on emissions reduction that enables the region to thrive? It's just rewording, is it? Yeah. Everybody happy with that? Yep.
So the table on page 46 was just an overview of all the estimated costs for any new projects that were currently not budgeted. So that's what this overview did, and it's just updated with changes that were proposed in this version of the draft. But we've just discussed...
There's no cumulative total on that, Femke.
No, that's correct.
No, we're not seeing there, no.
Madam Chair, if I make a comment,
Yes, you may.
if that's okay. Hardly said anything all day. So.
No, you haven't.
It's 3.2. Establish and support community education programs, strategy goals focusing on different stakeholders. So that's not $60,000 and it's done. That's $60,000 each year for 10 years.
That's for an annual, I think in the action it describes 4 events a year, with different, focusing on different areas for the strategy to have educational events and campaigns or campaigns with the community. Yep.
I really wish that was put in the action plan.
Sorry?
What?
Oh, I just wish that was highlighted, that it was not just $60,000.
Well, it will be highlighted in the business case because we're not.
Yeah, no, it's just. But when you go through that action plan. Some of them are one-off, some of them. Yeah.
Well, look at the water meter, 100,000 a year. What is that?
It'll be monitoring, I guess. But
Will it just be a digital email, won't it?
Yeah, some of them are just bang and it's done, and then others are each year for 10 years. It'd be nice to have that. I guess it is in this graph, but it's kind of, it's not until you get to this graph that you
We can add per annum where it's relevant.
But this isn't going to, just to be clear, this isn't going to come with a strategy. All these new spendings are set aside and will come with a business case as a total, you know. Yeah.
I think, is that where we ended up? I think
That's where we ended up.
I guess it depends on whether you want the public to see the potential cost of the strategy. I mean, everything has a cost to it.
Well, you could leave the potential cost in, but from the practical perspective, we don't want it rolled over with the strategy so that it comes to... Yeah. We want no money spent without a business case next year when they do the annual plan.
Yeah, totally understand the process. So it depends on whether you want that to be publicly visible. I mean, it already has been, obviously, so...
But I think it might look, it's more transparent with your community given that it has been publicly visible to keep it in, but we'll make it very, very clear that it's, we'll put the PA when it's per annum. Yep, so that's really clear as well. And also we'll make it clear that this is subject to council approval via the business case process.
Okay.
Just very quickly, the 5 mil, or that line 1.3B, the 5 mil for the water meters, is that in year 4 of the long-term plan at the moment, or?
I think it is.
Yeah.
It's got year 1, 2027.
Yeah, so it'll be year 4 of this.
Yes, so
LTP on.
Yes,
so it would be year 1 of the next.
So we'll get
LTP.
to discuss that anyway.
We will get to discuss it. I was just wondering if it had been in there as a placeholder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so it could be pushed out if we needed to. Or
Yeah, we'll check that and just make sure it's aligned with what's currently in the documents.
Okay, have we finished?
We're almost. We've got 2 more pages of glossary where we've just added some extra explanations of words that could do with some clarifying, and that's it. That's page 47 to 49. That's glossary.
It's interesting to talk about carbon dioxide, but you don't reference carbon monoxide. You know, it comes out of cars and stuff, doesn't it? Carbon monoxide.
Just a question on carbon dioxide. I thought it lasted for 100 years and it was gone, not thousands. Its life was 100 years. Carbon dioxide.
We can double check. Yep.
And then methane is, it's a 10-year guess.
Yes, we can clarify that.
Yeah, 1 decade, not decades plural.
Yeah, we need to have these, if just someone can double check these, they need to be accurate.
Yeah, thanks.
And with the carbon monoxide, yeah, we've got, it's interesting that we've got carbon dioxide but not carbon monoxide, and Neil spoke earlier about, I think you said, Neil, 50% of our emissions in New Zealand come from transportation and things. Monoxide comes from burning fossil fuels.
Methane is
We'll
down
go and
there.
get ourselves, we'll make that really clear.
Carbon monoxide is from the,
Yeah, leave that with us. We'll have a good check of that glossary.
Carbon monoxide is not really considered a major greenhouse gas because it only lasts in the atmosphere for 1 to 2 months. So it's not
So it
really
doesn't
listed as a
hang around.
greenhouse gas. Yeah.
So that is what is burnt though when a car runs, isn't it? Isn't it burning it? I'm pretty sure.
It's my understanding it's part of what comes out of your exhaust pipe, but by no means all of it.
Okay.
So that if everybody will look at those definitions in the glossary, and that was the last page of the draft strategy, which we will present to you for the on the 3rd of September council meeting. And that will be the last step in the development of the strategy.
Well, thank you very much. I think that was a very complete and, a great process to go through, right from your pre-engagement to your ultimate draft climate change strategy. And I'd like to thank everybody that submitted and everybody that presented and everybody that's watched this review of the climate change and sustainability strategy. So we'll now finish. Thank you, Tony.
Can I just ask a question? The Paris Accord Agreement, is there a link on here to see which countries have signed up to it?
There is at the start of the document. There's a link to that that information.
Which countries actually sign into it?
We'll double check if that's there. Yeah.
Hamish?
Madam Chair, I wonder if I could just have councillors for 5 minutes at the end of this before you all leave. Thank you.